welcome in everyone. Hi friends! Happy Wednesday! How's everyone doing? How y'all doing today? Hope you're all doing well. Hey Yari, hey Deathheart. Hi Salty Saber, welcome in. How you guys doing today? Hey Ross. Hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday. Everybody having a good hump day? You're halfway through the week. I'm not, but most everybody is halfway through the week, so that's a big bonus. I'm not. Yeah, me neither. Hi, Cinnamon Bun. How you doing? About to commit a massacre and paint the town red. What's that? Is that like a Call of Duty mission? Is that the new airport mission? Is that what that is? But I'm happy to hear everybody's doing well. I'm having a great Wednesday, personally. It's been pretty good. Actually, hold on. I think I see a small issue. Yeah, I do see a small issue. Okay. Hold on. One moment. You were such a bitch. You were such a bitch. Thank you. Okay, now it's fixed. My small little perfectionist self can now grip with the fact that there's not any issues. Sounds like your voice is back. It usually is. It usually is by this time. I'm a little bit more tired than usual because I worked today, but we'll be all good. Yo! Thank you for the sub raged. Welcome back into the harem. Hope you enjoy your stay. Let me get some ambiance going in, and we'll get to chatting for a little bit, and then we'll get down to our history stuff. Okay, not that one. Wrong playlist. Okay. Hey Trey, welcome in. How you doing? Hi Amelia. But yeah, I hope you're all having a great week. I see the background moved. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. It was a mere spell. It was a mere ancient incantation. We know what you did in 78.
Let me guess.
Brendan. Ow. Okay. Why? Great. I see that things still aren't working entirely.
Let me guess. Spring cleaning.
Ow. Stop throwing chairs. Give me a moment. I think I forgot to move this back over. God, dude. I swear, the PC nuking itself like 2 weeks ago will be reverberating for months. I'm gonna keep finding like small things that just like... Okay, now it should work. That like just weren't noticed for the end of time. It's gonna be so annoying, but yeah, it should work now. Thank you for the lurk, Trey. I'll happily take your organs. I know what you did in negative 6393 BCE. I don't know if there's a negative. I think it's just BCE, because I think negative... I don't know. If you do like a negative BCE, I think that just makes it like 6393 AD. I suck at spelling. My apologies. Just get a bot. Use Chat GPT. There is no negative. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like unpushed territory. But yeah, as I was saying, sorry if I'm not as energetic usually on Wednesdays as I am on other nights. Just because I work today. So apologies if there's not... I mean, the humor will be there. I feel like I'm my funniest on history nights. But the hooping and hollering won't be there as much. But if you're just joining for the first time, thank you for checking me out. I know we got a lot of new people in. So my name's Hara Rae Sol. I'm an Egyptian peregrine sun goddess. I'm going to give you the little rundown. I'm the goddess of the sun, sky, and kingship. I have a master's degree in history, and I work as a museum curator full-time. And this is my fun little hobby, is being an Egyptian bird on the internet for you guys. So this is the night that we do where I pick up some popular history videos or mythology videos, and we go through and I offer my expertise and things that I know about each subject that we watch. And chat asks questions, history questions, questions about just my personal interests. I'm a big mecha and trading card fan. I'm a big nerd. And museum stuff. So, if it's your first time here, please feel free to ask any question you feel like. That goes for YouTube and Twitch. I'm keeping up with both. But it means a lot that you came to hang out. Hi, Seth, bruh. What part of history do you specialize in? My specialty for my master's was Cold War geopolitics, propaganda, and espionage. That was my focus. My dissertation was on the cultural ramifications of the Soviet-Afghan War, in which I made the argument that perestroika was not the main cause for the fall of the Soviet Union, yet the retreat from the Afghan War. Not the Afghan War itself, that's an important distinction, the retreat from the Afghan War. Does history pay tax? What is that? What do you mean? Ivan, buddy, I need you to I don't know if you're using a translator, but I need you to get a better translator. Nerd bird, I love it. I am a nerd. I will fully accept that. I work in a dusty archive all day, and I get excited about it, so... some things I get to accession tomorrow are about an unsolved murder in this small subsection of a town I work in, so that'll be neat. See, I would not have known that if I had not shown up. I know, right? But yeah, I noticed that there's not a ton of history VTuber content, and if there is, it's pop history, which I don't have a huge for, where it's nothing really smart or really anything that adds to a conversation. It's just, ooh, funny, wacky fact. You know what I mean? So, I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring. I kind of want to be known one day as, the history VTuber. I know Cleo has that, and she probably will forever hold that. But I want to be known as, the other... the other history VTuber. I want there to be, Cleo, and then me, right behind her. In that conversation. What if you solved the murder? There's no way. It was, back in, the 70s. And it was against a prominent member of the community, but it's completely cold by now. I thought about that myself, but no, it's completely cold. As cool as that would be. I know what you did in 78. Are you talking about that time I hit a family of 4 with my Ford Bronco? Because like them, you two have been chosen for knowing about that. How long did it take me to get your master's? Just 2 years, the standard time. I did my undergrad. I took a year off for a break. And then I did my master's. Half of it was during COVID, so that super sucked. But yes, Odazan is actually correct. I was sleeping. I wasn't quite up to my illegal, nefarious purposes. It's only cold because there isn't anything new to go off of. Well, the thing is at the time, the cops, quite literally refused to even gather evidence because it's the American South in the 70s and was an African-American man that was shot and killed. Notably, who was the first African-American police officer in the city and the first board on the mayor. So, it was very likely a hate crime, is my thought. But, the cops, for some reason, for reasons that we can't factually acclaim to that police department, didn't really care to gather evidence or really investigate, so... Oh yeah, 100% stinks of a hate crime. Absolutely. Gotta love that. But yeah, that's how long it took for me to get into the museum field. It took me another 3 years. So if you're a history major, start your internships early. I'm talking sophomore year of undergrad, because you're gonna need it. Make those connections. I did my master's pretty much during COVID, so I couldn't make those connections. It was pretty rough. Speaking of, I actually went to a little department get-together for my old history department. And 2 awesome things happened. I learned that a professor that likes me a lot retired and I missed it, which made me feel bad. But they moved very far away and now work in gaming. So that's pretty interesting. I think that they're like, they act as like a history kind of like reference for people that make video games, which is pretty sick. I need to email him and contact him about it because I'm very interested. Yeah, consultant. And then I also had an amazing run-in with an old professor. And the awesome part is that I told them that I work in collections and that they recently hired a new public historian that wants to work with museums in the area. So I got to hand one of my business cards, my fancy schmancy business provided business cards, to one of my ex-master's professors. And I'm not gonna lie, chat, that shit hit like crack. That shit hit like absolute crack. Crack cocaine. I don't think I've ever felt that elated in my life. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. And not as in like a way where it's like, oh, I'm finally like the student has become the master kind of thing. It's not that. It's like, oh my God, like one of my professors sees me as a peer, which was like really nice. Oh, it's made my month. I'll be living that high life for a long time. But cool, they moved on to something cool, definitely. And they wrote some references for me, so it's not like they didn't know me, so I really need to send them an email and stuff and catch up. I've been meaning to do it. Hey, Edsel! But yeah, I hope you've all had a good week. It's been a very eventful one, that's for sure. Not a whole lot of stuff we can talk about due to the modern political nature of it. So sadly, it's not stuff we're gonna comment about here, but a lot of interesting things have happened this week. Maybe in like 2 years, when I'm still streaming, we can spin a history night talking about the stuff going off now. The one thing I am willing to talk about, and I will not accept any arguments in chat. Remember, chat, no politics. Is something that I can kind of talk about because it's pretty, I feel like pretty separated from a Western audience, and that is the war in India and Pakistan. Which, if I'm being quite honest, if you thought that something bad might happen with Ukraine and Russia, this one is far worse. We are in a very, yeah, I think that someone said it on Twitter best, where it's like, I'm very tired of living through notable historical events. But yeah, I already said it in a different way, but yeah, that's like essentially what it is. And it's so true. We are living in, as a historian, especially that focused on the Cold War era, we are living in quite literally probably one of the most tumultuous times in 50 years. And I do mean that. I do mean that. It was already pretty crazy at the start of this year. It's only gotten worse. I would say the past 3 or 4 years have been some of the most tumultuous times in the past 50, so. Is your funding impacted by recent stuff or not really? So I'm lucky enough to where my museum is funded by a local government. It's not funded by grants or private donors, so we're actually pretty immune to all of the stuff going on, but we do participate in the IMLS and kind of stand in solidarity with all of our fellow museums that are currently being defunded. So yeah, it's tragic. There's a lot of museums that, well, they sued and won, so for the time being, they won't have to close. But in the near future, there might be a lot of museums closing. Isn't the Cold War supposed to be over? I mean, technically, it did end. It ended with the fall of the Soviet Union and with Putin taking over, because in the beginning, Putin seemed to be very cooperative with the West. It was found out very quickly, probably within 2 to 3 years, that was not the case. And it was practically put right back on immediately. I would say that the Cold War ended, and and that we started a new one that is much hotter than the old Cold War ever was. Well, I don't know about that. We're living in we're living in like a reverse situation of the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's like a very long and drawn out reversed form of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Instead of like there being a bunch of dangerous stuff on our border and being backed by our global enemy, Russia, by doing what they've done, which is invading a peaceful country with no real reason, has now effectively made Ukraine their Cuba. And instead of it being like nuclear fear, it's now the fact that NATO has just about every reason to stream into Ukraine if it wasn't for nuclear bombs. So, yeah, that's the thing. But as I was saying, you should be way more afraid of India-Pakistan. Not only because it's hard to make Ukraine a nuclear conflict because the US is not going to get involved as long as Russia doesn't use anything, which they won't because they don't need to. But India-Pakistan, man, it just takes a couple bad weeks and there could be tactical nuclear detonations. If I can get it out, good lord. So you might be seeing a mini-me hit the Indian subcontinent sometime soon, which is not a good. You might be thinking to yourself, Hara, but that's just like over there. I don't really bother us. Oh, I promise you, we're not gonna feel the nuclear heat, but we're gonna feel the nuclear cold. So, yeah. Yeah, it will come back to bother us for sure. It's very scary. We definitely live in a very scary time. I'm hoping that things back off, especially with India, Pakistan, relatively quickly. But we're living in interesting times, and not in a good way. With Israel announcing they're fully overtaking Gaza, Russia invading Ukraine, and in India, Pakistan. And Iran, Iraq possibly heating back up again. It's geopolitics right now are very interesting. How entangled the US-India economies are. They are a little bit, but it's actually not as bad as like US-China. Meatballs. Again, yes, again. Wish me a nuclear winter. I'll pass. So yeah, we're living in tumultuous times. Very spooky, for sure. I can't remember the last time we actually had a just chatting stream though. Like where I could just hang out and talk to you guys. It's kind of been a minute. Because I've either been sick or we've had a guest. Or I've had stream issues. I don't think we ever really talked in depth about anything crazy going on in the VTuber space. Because, like, not only has geopolitics been chaos, it feels like VTubing has had a really rough past month. In a very crazy way. I'm sure it is, Brat. I'm sure it is. I'm gonna grab me some water real quick. I feel like VTubing is at a breaking point of sorts. It's matured enough that things can start going wrong. If I'm being honest, I have said this for the past 3 years. A lot of people don't want, like, okay, so we're getting into the weeds with this one. I'm gonna give you all of my thoughts on the current VTuber space real quick. I'm gonna give a quick rundown because we've talked about this a ton, but if you're newer, I need to give you the rundown. So, I have been a firm believer for the past 2 or 3 years that VTubers are one popular drama YouTuber video away from being synonymous with furries in 2015. And what I mean by that is like, all it'll take is like, I don't know if anyone knows who like Turkey Tom is. All it takes is like one loser creeps pedos video from Turkey Tom, and VTubing as a name is, as a brand, as a whole, as a community, is dirt. Quite literally. Same thing with a Papa Meat video, for example. If Papa Meat does one too, if it's particularly bad, if he catches some bad whiffs of this community. Because there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of people that will say, well, VTubing's not really a community. And they'd be right, in the sense of like, kind of like anime, it's an art form. And there's a lot of diverse people that enjoy VTubing, and do a lot of different things with it. Ow. For example, me doing history. But the issue is that from the outside perspective of people that aren't in the community, they don't see it that way. They're gonna look at it as, anything done by one popular VTuber must mean that all the other VTubers do it. And that comes with sexualizing themselves, which I do not have an opinion for or against. Political statements, statements on things that shouldn't have to be political, but are apparently political, like bigotry. Another thing is like just straight up being deranged with fans, and just pretty much any kind of drama is going to be infinitely amplified outwards. Plus all of the negative stigmatizations that already come from being a part of the anime community. So that is a big issue. Also, hi Red Pyro, welcome in. You burnt your water? Same, dude. I do it a lot. I hate it when it happens. What is the range of everyone we're talking about? What do you mean? But essentially, I'm convinced he is pretty much scum. I will say, as somebody that like used to watch him occasionally, just cause like he's good for like catching up with drama, but he's not great for like as an unbiased narrator. He's definitely not the nicest person. He does really good research, but he is not afraid to make up shit for clout. So, but anyway, as I was saying, so regardless of how the VTuber community likes to say that we're not a community, to other people we are. To the broader internet community, we are. And that is something that people I think need to understand. And the issue is that rarely do the good things in VTubing actually explode and take off. You never see like Iron Mouse doing something incredible, typically blowing up for positive reasons, as it should be, because she has done nothing wrong from what I understand across her career. And she is one of the few like proper beacons of light among popular VTubers in the community. And I'm really grateful we have her for that. But for every good thing that Iron Mouse does that actually blows up for positive reasons, there's like 5 things that are incredibly bad and negative that blow up for the worst reasons, that are about the VTubing community. So I feel like I've had friends straight up ask, because like they know I'm a VTuber, and they're like, you're not like that, are you? And it's like, obviously I'm not. Like, they've watched my streams before and they know now, but when it first started, they were like, are you into those kind of people? And the thing is that it's sad, because if you're on Twitter at all, and you aren't in any VTuber spaces, and you're only shown the bad parts that get popular on the VTubing community, you would think we're all a bunch of quite literally gooning addicted bigots that are kind of like the lowest of the low in the anime community. And I hate that. I hate the fact that there are people on YouTube and Twitch that are gonna come in here and see me with this cute avatar that I love presenting myself as and go, she must be a shitty person. Just because I've got this. And as unfair as it is towards me, I understand if that's the only sides of the community that they're exposed to. You know what I mean? Dirt sells. It does. And we are in an age in the political meta, like we are in a meta of the political of like the internet age where like negative stuff and hateful stuff that makes you angry, especially stuff that's political, left or right, that is aggressive, is what drives clicks. It is. Negative things, negativity is what drives clicks all over the internet now. It's not the old days where you can post a funny rage comic and it'll blow up on your Pinterest, and you and all your friends will share funny rage comics. It's not like that anymore. Instead, it's either like you and all of your friends sharing around the Kirsch being a, you know, closet piece of shit. Well, not closet, an open piece of shit. And being upset at that, which is what she wants. That's how she makes money. Or you agree with her and you share that with your friends because she's focusing on negative things that you want to be mad with your friends about. So you see what I'm saying? Those kind of people are abound in this community, sadly. And thank you for the follow, Dingle. Welcome into the cult. How you doing today? But yeah, like, see, the thing is like, I'm gonna say no politics in chat for obvious reasons, but I don't think I have to say, like, fuck people that are racist, fuck people that are bigots, and anyone is welcome in this community as long as they are civil and kind to everyone else. And that includes trans folks. Like, there are major people in this community. There are people on my mod team that are trans. I don't play with that kind of shit around here. You know what I mean? Like, they're my friends. And regardless of how you feel about it, I don't give a fuck. You shouldn't be, like, even if you feel negative things, what does it help to say it? You know what I mean? Like what do you actually gain? It's just a net loss. Even if you think hateful things, why would you say it? You know what I mean? Because, like, at the end of the day, all of us can be judgy. All of us can be really judgy. Lord knows I can be judgy. I'm really bad at judging people. Like, well, I'm good at it, but I'm bad about being judgmental. But the difference is that if I'm judgmental about someone's personality traits or the way they do things and I don't like it, I'm not gonna say it because I'm an adult and there's no reason to. You know what I mean? What do I gain by making them upset, you know? Do you teach history? I do, Dingle. Well, I technically teach history on these nights. I'm actually a museum curator. So I teach history in a way to my community, but I'm not actually like a history professor. I just have a master's. I do not think being against bigots is political. It's only made political to normalize bigotry. You're absolutely correct. And that's what I mean by that. Treating people respectfully and with kindness, regardless of who they are or where they come from, should not be a political argument. Regardless of what you think, you should have the decorum, especially in my stream chat, to at least be nice to people, as long as they're being nice themselves. What era do you know best? My focus was Cold War history. My specialty was on propaganda, espionage, and geopolitics. So yeah. And I also dipped my toes, obviously, into Egyptology and ancient world. Don't you have to write a book to become an official historian? No, not technically. I mean, okay, so with the way it works, it's like every quote-unquote historian has written a book. But that does not mean that it's required to write a book to be a historian. What requires to be known as a historian, at least on a peer, is to either A, have something published, which could be as simple as your dissertation, which is what happens to a lot of people like me, or an article, which is also super common, or a book, or simply to be teaching history and have tenure. So you could technically, there's no history program, probably in the United States, that's gonna let you be a history professor without doing active research while also teaching, so you will have to publish things. That is usually a requirement. But that does technically mean that you are a historian, even if you technically don't publish things. Ow. What's your favorite Ken Burns documentary? The one on the Vietnam War was rather incredible. I really liked the Civil War one, but I think I'm not a huge fan of the Civil War, ironically. But I think the Vietnam one was my favorite. And I think that makes sense. I have a bit of a bias. So more coincidence than causation. It's more like your job requires you to be published and to publish, but that doesn't make you a historian. And that doesn't make you a professor either. History VTuber, what historical processes led you to have those super cool pauldrons? Because damn, they're cool. Because I thought they were neat. Historically, I thought they were fucking cool. But welcome in. Welcome in. I just missed your name because chat moved up. But welcome in, Julian's Pen. I think I said that right. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the lurk, Ross. I'll happily take your organs. You should really try Warno, Hara, if you're into strategy games and like Cold War stuff. I'll be sure to. I know I played War Game, like War Game, Airland Dragon, or what is it, Airland Battle and Red Dragon or whatever it is. It's been a long time since I played them, like 10 years, but I did play them. In her professional opinion, they're fucking rad. Absolutely. Warno versus Red Dragon is a thing. Is Warno like way different? Have you ever tried Hearts of Iron 4? I haven't. I've been meaning to try it out, but I haven't had the chance yet. I would say that like all the history games that I played are either like kind of like shooters or like Total War games. And like board games. Like I did there's a history board game called Command and Colors. That is a lot of fun. I did my history final on the politics intertwined with armored vehicle development in the US during the Cold War. Oh, hell yeah. That's sick, Edsel. I like that. I will admit, I'm more of a general broad scope historian than I am like the micro stuff. So I don't know a ton about that kind of stuff, but I watch like Laser Pig and Animarchy videos pretty frequently, I feel like. So I get pretty knowledgeable on those things. Wendigoon does the occasional video on stuff like that too. Like, I think he did a video on like the M16 or something like that. Hey, Graham Cracker, thank you for the lurk. Use actual division templates instead of a deck builder. Oh, okay. Watch Stay Yuki. Will do, will do. I will say, if you want to recommend me videos, drop them in the history in the Discord. There's a history video section and a recommendation channel you can drop stuff in. Laserpig inspired me to do that as my final. That's great. I will say, we will again not talk politics, but he did a video on the what is the right way to say it? The cultural fallacy that is cultural Marxism, and it is actually a fantastic video. I would check it out. This is why Hara's my Oshi. She's chill, does history, and doesn't rage bait. Hell yeah! I don't know. Apparently some people think I rage bait because, like, I made a Twitter post that was like, look, I really don't like lolicons. You make me all uncomfortable. And then I kind of, like, clowned on them for a couple days because it was really funny because they're all really dumb and can't argue. So I got in trouble with that, quote-unquote trouble. But they now, like, I kept getting, like, a bunch of stuff where it's like, you're just a tourist. Because you don't like small anime children. You're not a real anime fan. And I was like, dude, I've been watching anime since like 2008. Like, I'm pretty sure I watched anime before a lot of you guys. Well, a lot of you guys are still in diapers. You can't tell me that shit. When I went to 3 separate Sunday, God, what were they called? Sermons. Dished out by the voice actor for Edward Elric. Who also turned out to be a creep, but that's news for another time. That's kind of funny. Welcome to Twitter. There's like a roaming pack of them. They run like probably like 400 or 500 people deep, and they just kind of like all flood. They like actually like rage bait themselves. It's kind of crazy. They just kind of go looking for people saying negative things about like Lully show, especially if you're a VTuber, and they just like all like comment on you at once and stuff like that. It's really cringe. Hey, Razy. Does being angry really feel that good? When you have no job, no career prospects, and all you have left is anger and depression? Yeah, pretty much. But what really is it a real anime fan? It's the same thing as a no true Scotsman fallacy. There is no real such thing as a real anime fan. Thank you, it's all good on. You remember Tom from Toonami? Dude, I fucking love Toonami. Brendan! Ow! That's actually what got me in anime, was when I was like a kid, I would wake up at like 3 a.m. to like Inuyasha. And I had the biggest, chat, I'm not kidding when I say this. Okay, keep it a secret between you and me, okay? Don't tell anybody. I had the biggest fucking crush on Lord Shishomaru. The biggest crush. He's just like, he's really pretty, okay?
Great success.
Yeah. He's just really pretty, okay? Like, really pretty. So yeah. I had a crush on him for a very long time, so. Yeah. Which is why it makes me laugh a little bit. Ow! I'm not going to bed. I just started. Kagome was my first anime crush. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of get it, but Kagome's kind of basic. Been doing too much eeping today. I'm jealous. Do you simp him 24/7? I wouldn't say entirely. Mine is Dusk from Arknights. I mean, that's a good choice. Dusk is pretty cool. Outlaw Star. Oh my god, she watched Outlaw Star? That's crazy. I like it. I don't remember my first anime crush. I'm gonna be real.
Sun Tzu said that.
He sure did. Sun Tzu didn't remember his first anime crush either. It's probably Confucius. Actually, did Confucius come after Sun Tzu? He might have. My first anime crush was a half-elf maiden girl from an obscure anime series that has no second season. Oof. Was it No Game, No Life? Were you into, like, the big... Ow, that half-naked, big-tittied harpy chick? Outbreak Company? Okay, yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one. Tsubaki, Soul Eater. I liked, God, what's her name? The one from Soul Eater that, like, if she touches you in the same spot twice, you die. I liked her a lot. I thought she was hot. Ow. Oh, and I liked, Rin. Is that her name? Rin, the short stack? The side protagonist? Ever watch D. Gray Man? I don't think I have. Isn't that like Power Rangers? Pretty sure. It's like Power Rangers, isn't it? My crush from Soul Eater is the cat girl. Buckshot, I'm gonna be honest, dude. Ow. Every weeb in like 2015 at my high school had the exact same waifu, dude. It was that one, the cat witch. No, it's not Power Rangers. I thought it was. What is it called? Like, I thought it was like Super Sentai or whatever it is. Whatever they call it in Japan. I wish there were more historical anime. I'm gonna be honest, there, like, aren't really any good ones. At least from what I can remember. Like, Fate's cool, but it's not historically accurate in, like, literally any way, shape, or form. Vinland Saga Season 1 was sick, but it was a little too shonen, and the second season bored the shit out of me. And then all the other ones are kind of just like, they're just kind of like battle anime. Like, some are really gory, some aren't. I think I had a crush on Fiona from Zoids. Okay, I get that one. I totally get that. She's pretty cool. What about Saga Tanya the Evil? No, I'm completely uninterested. That's one of those shows where, like, I'm not gonna be one of those types that's like, oh, it's a Nazi anime, because I don't think it is. But it's definitely, like, one of those shows. Like, Tanya the Evil is one of those shows where, like, it's not like a Nazi show or anything. But it's one of those things where it's, like, a bunch of people that LARP as those types, like wereaboos, would be way too into for me to be comfortable with it. Ain't Tanya set in World War I? I don't even think it's set in World War I. Well, like, even if they say World War I, it's, like, so detached, it doesn't feel like it. Because, like, the uniforms are not World War I at all. They're wearing the grays. It's not a Nazi anime, it's more along World War I. You see, you say that, but their uniforms are World War II. The guns are particularly World War II. Because I'm pretty sure they use Gewehr 43s. They have, like, Panzer III tanks. It's just one of those shows where, like, it just feels like, again, I don't feel like it's not Nazi or fascist or anything like that. It's just, like, it's so edgy that, like, it feels like the people that would really like it are kind of weird. Hey Sato, welcome in. Some good manga though, like Emma and Bride's Tale. I don't think I've heard of those, Ben. What are they about? It's a generic alt Kaiser vibe. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they explicitly say the war starts in 1910 or close to that. I get that, but like, I mean, they could say the war starts in 1415 if they're wearing like Nazi uniforms, have Nazi medals, are using Nazi weapons, and driving Nazi tanks. I'm gonna look at it and go, that's probably World War II. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with like Wolfenstein. Granted, it's not like technically World War II, but you look at it and you're like, okay, it's based on World War II. What about Golden Kamui? Is that historical? I don't think I've seen Golden Kamui. Apothecary Diaries is so good. I'm gonna be honest, I tried to get into it, I didn't like it. I did not like Apothecary Diaries. I know it's like even like geared towards ladies, and I couldn't get into it. Did you watch Man in the High Castle? I did. It wasn't that great. The book was a lot better. And even then, the book kind of like loses itself towards the end. Yeah, the thing with Apothecary Diaries is like, the characters are likable, but I couldn't get past the fact that she just felt like she felt like Sherlock Holmes, but like without any of the explanation of how she comes to the conclusions she does. Like in the first like 3 or 4 episodes, there's like one episode where like there's soldiers across the country that are having like stomach issues when eating their meals, and they thought they were poisoned by like the local village that brought the food. And so they're like, from a distance, they're diplomatically trying to resolve it. And she like looks at a fucking potted plant in the room and goes, oh, hey, that's a potted plant that is native to the area. It's very likely that they're picking it up, ripping the leaves off or whatever, and putting it in the food on accident, not realizing it's poisonous. And that turned out to be it. And it was like, okay, like, what are the fucking odds, bro? What are the fucking odds of that? Like, that's nuts. There's no way, like, you could be a scholar of, like, 15 years and, like, not fucking come to that conclusion without actually showing up there. There's like this big issue with media. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have ever read or have ever heard of this before, but a lot of people say like, if you're not like a military strategist, you cannot make a compelling like war story in the sense of like strategy and things like that, because you just simply don't understand all of the realistic things that go into like a campaign or a war. Like even for fiction, that like makes it compelling. It's the same way with like intellectualism. There's a lot of people, like if you're not like smart in those things, it's really hard to like be convincing, or it's really hard to write a convincing story that is that shows that intelligence naturally, and not just like this assumed way of how intellectualism works, or like how being smart works. Because like being smart does not mean that you have an encyclopedia like knowledge of like herbs. That's not how intelligence works. That's not how like being a scholar works. The reality of it is that like a real apothecary at the time would like be given a sample of the food and would test it and do research, and would understand how to do research and come to a good conclusion and use the scientific method and historical method to figure out issues. Not, oh yeah, that thing's definitely poisonous. It's definitely that one kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's just not how intelligence works. So it's like one of those things where it's like, if you're not intelligent in a subject, it's very hard to write convincingly a character that is intelligent in that subject. Same thing with like I said, like war and military stuff. It's very hard to write, you know, the greatest general ever in fiction if you yourself don't have a lot of experience or understanding for what a general has to do and go through in military strategy. It's just how it is. characters are limited by the knowledge and abilities of their writers. I feel like that's not like a controversial statement. What Eric Maria Remarque was just a soldier and wrote one of the best war stories ever. I didn't say it was impossible. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. First off, she was a soldier, or they were a soldier, whatever. They would all they're a bit adjacent to warfare. The other thing is, I didn't say it was impossible. I said it was really hard. Eric was a guy. Yes, I'm aware. I corrected myself. Shut up. God. Chat, y'all can be really annoying, you know that? Listen to the words I say. You understand what I mean. Sounds like the same criticism I've heard about Sherlock, the show. That is how it is. Hey, Blitz! Just making sure everyone knew. Everyone knew. God. Hey, Fridge, how's it going? There's also something that, like, people need to do in, like, general conversation, especially around stuff like this. If you understand what someone means and what they're talking about, just go with it. You don't have to correct someone on the minutia of everything. It's so annoying. It is such a Redditor tier thing to do. It's so lame. Like, focus on their argument. Don't focus on, like, one slightly wrong point. It's going good. How about you? I'm doing pretty good. There's always exceptions to the rule, like Dan Abnett. Exactly. You too, Edsel. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you back on Friday. Remember, Friday this week for Fallout New Vegas. To throw can at you or to not throw can at you, that is the question. Just get it over with. Ow. Reminds me of hyperfixating on typos. Ow. In an argument? Exactly. Ow. Yeah! New Vegas! Murder! But yeah. That's like, I don't know. That's, I forget what we were even talking about. I forget what even the main point was. Like, before talking about, like, you have to be, like, an intellectual on a subject to, like, write an intellectual character. Hey, what's up, Collector? Welcome in. But you guys get my point. Oh, yeah, we're talking about that's why I don't like Apothecary Diaries. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I'm not a big fan of it. That's my dissertation on why I don't think Apothecary Diaries is that interesting. Do I like the characters? Yes. Is the story bad? No, I don't think so. But that one thing, like, it nags the hell out of me, especially when that's, like, the whole point of the main character, so. But yeah. I definitely don't think it's like one of those shows where, like, and it happens a lot with, like, TV for me. Where I don't think it's bad, I just don't think it's for me. Interesting, Koi. Is it kind of like, I want to say, I forget what it's called. What's the one where you just, like, kind of run around on a map and kill 50 billion guys as, like, some great hero and then the game ends? Dynasty Warriors! Yeah. I was about to say, that's what it is, Dynasty Warriors. Man, they made a Gundam one once, and I was like, fuck yeah. And then I played it for, like, 15 minutes, and I was like, this is boring. Like, I love a good, like, power fantasy, for sure. But, like, man, that bored the shit out of me. And here comes Q being like, I love Dynasty Warriors, and now I feel bad. Wasn't there a Girls in Panzer game? There have been Girls in Panzer games. I don't know if it was a Dynasty Warriors game. You know Battletech, Hara? I have the game, but I haven't played it. Three Kingdoms is huge in Asia. It got milked the hell out. I'm sure it did. Ow. Yo! Welcome in, Raiders! My name's Hara Rae Sol. I'm an Egyptian peregrine sun goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams. Thank you for the raid, Hestia. How was your stream? How are you doing? I'm not watching myself twice. I was lurking. If you guys don't know, Hestia's a good longtime friend of mine. They're really cool. They're really funny. Please go check them out if you get the chance. I don't know if we got a shout out, but if we can get one, that'd be great. Athens over Cairo. Wrong! Dude, Athens was so weak, it couldn't even, like, hold all of Greece. Do you watch Yarn Hub? I do not. I feel like I've heard of Yarn Hub, but I don't think I've watched them before. It's a game that just tickles a certain part of the brain for me is all. I get it. True, the boy love inspired Spartans were too strong. Well, I mean, I feel pretty bad for you, Hestia, because if we're being completely honest, Greeks might have invented sex, but Romans invented doing it with women. So, yeah. I mean, it must mean that, like, you were left alone, pretty frequently. Hey, Warden, how's it going? What? When did I get 400 channel points? Surprise! It's payment for your liver. I'm a virgin by choice. Thank you very much. Not very homely. Wasn't the Greek gay stuff mostly just a bad word for young boys? Yes, pretty much. Well, like, okay. It was seen as differently in that time period. Let's be careful using those type of harsh words, Brad. I hate mincing it because, like, it is that bad when it's actually needed in that, like, sense. But YouTube and Twitch are weird like that. So, it was different. The concept of sexuality in the ancient Mediterranean was so vastly different from the modern one that it was not seen as that. I mean, it was seen as, like, it definitely was in a lot of cases. But it was seen as, like, you were not seen as, like, male or female based on, like, your parts. You were decided whether you were male or female based on, like, your dominance and role in society. So, like, if you had a tabernacle and choir and you really enjoyed being effeminate and taking it up your garum hole from the local console, you were a girl by practically all means. You were a woman, pretty much. But yeah, it was definitely seen as, like, a dominance thing. That's why, like, especially in ancient Egypt, the mythology specifically states that, like, Horus and Set fought for dominance, in quotes. And whoever was dominated, in quotes, would be seen as not manly enough to take the throne. So, like, it wasn't, like, seen as, like, ew, gay. It wasn't like that. It was like, oh, you're just weak. Like, that kind of thing. Or you're just weaker than this guy is, like, what it is. Them ancient Greeks were progressive. Oh, they definitely weren't. Don't worry. We're also for the elites mostly, not the peasants. Exactly, pretty much. You're not homosexual, you just have a skill issue? Actually, though. Actually, one of those things where it's like, you're not gay, you just need to hit the weight room a bit more. Ancient Greek society did nothing wrong. I'm sure I have no idea what you mean. Clueless? Oh yeah, 100%. I think Japanese samurai warriors also emphasized male-male relationships. I have no clue. Japan, like, early Japan is, like, one of those things where, like, I don't know a ton about it. But, I mean, if we're being honest, outside of, like, Western Europe and United States, like, for example, like, gender is seen as not as rigid as it is in Western Europe and the United States. I guess North America is the right way to put it. It's nowhere near as rigid, actually. Welcome back, Ross. 1 hour intro? What do you mean? This is how we do it every time, Blitz. We chat for like an hour and a half, and then we watch some videos. And I add on to them some cringe history shit. I gotcha. Well, I'll see you later, Ross. Hope to see you back on Friday for New Vegas. 7 p.m. But have you seen Simon Whistler cover the food pyramid? I know recent history. I've seen a lot of Simon Whistler stuff. I haven't seen the one for the food pyramid. And while I like Simon Whistler as entertainment, as a historian and like a political commentator, he's not a great source. Mostly because he's not the one even writing all of those scripts, so. Gender is a social construct. I scream as Kronos and Rhea lock me in my padded room. Gender is a social construct. I scream because I change genders, whether I've got, like, depending on the era and the situation. But before I go, I look forward to being active in the community, and I look forward to having you around, Ross. I love new worshipers because that means I get new organs. That's what it means. That's what it means. I get to infect another one of you with a radiation plague and rip out your liver. Now that you've stayed for longer than 5 minutes, your bloodline is forever cursed to worship me and only me forever. That's how this works. Ow! Life without War Thunder is boring. I lost my 100-day login. Ouch. I think Sharklet said that she has a macro set up to where like her computer automatically opens War Thunder and clicks the button every day. So she's on like 1,600 days or some shit. Of course, Ross. I'm actually very honored to hear that I'm an inspiration, that I'm an Oshi. Which I guess is the VTuber word. I've had a lot of people say that recently, and it makes me very happy. It really does. I never expected to be anyone's Oshi, if I'm being honest. I just like being a dumb idiot that likes talking about things they like. But if I'm an inspiration for you, I'm very happy. Just please don't put me, all I ask is that you don't put me on a pedestal, because while I might have a big ego, I don't do a lot that warrants it, and I do some things in real life that, definitely do not mean I should have an ego, you know what I mean? So I am a person at the end of the day, even though I am a god. But I am seriously honored that you would think that highly of me. I really do. That being said, if you do want to know any secrets about content creation, I would rather you ask me questions about content creation that I'd be more than happy to answer here. Like growth and things like that, rather than you going to some 100 viewer VTuber and paying them $60 to tell you in a Discord call how you need to post more on Twitter. So, like, I'll tell you what to do for free. Don't go waste money on those kind of people. Those people are kind of scummy. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. People that offer, like, social media consultation services, it's all snake oil. They have no exact clue, and they're all kind of scummy. If you want to pay for, like, someone to look through your socials, pay someone with an actual social media marketing major. It's not only a thing, it is a very popular thing, and a lot of people pay it. It's sad, man. I'm talking, like, people will spend, like, new VTubers will spend $60, $70 an hour for someone to look at, like, run through their Twitter and be like, you should post pictures of your feet. Like, kind of shit. It's nuts. I've known a lot of streamers that have gotten big. I promise you 8 out of 10, it's pure luck. If you ask all of the actual, like, mentally stable, big, like, content creators, all of them will say that. For example, someone I used to watch a lot and someone I need to watch some more videos of was General Sam. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. General Sam has a podcast called Forehead Fables. Incredible name. But they spend a whole episode talking about Twitch channels that they like and they pretty much feel that are undeserving. Or that are more deserving of like popularity. And one example he gives is that there's this guy that he watches. General Sam, by the way, averages like 1 million views on YouTube for every video. I keep almost saying vehicle. On every video he does. And he was talking about this guy on Twitch that made this like entire online VR mall. that chat can fully interact with and make him go to different stores and buy things and make him do fun stuff, like take like mall pictures and stuff like that. And he was like, that's fucking awesome. That's fucking incredible. And this guy only averages like 80 fucking viewers. My dumb fucking ass is playing Tarkov, getting like 7 fucking thousand, and I'm just being a fucking idiot. Like, I have no credentials. I worked as a fucking hot air balloon operator before I started streaming, which is true, by the way. That was his job. And Queso said the same thing. Queso's massive. Queso was like, dude, I'm gonna be honest, it's lucky as shit. Like, does it take talent? 100%. You have to have a little bit of talent. You have to have a little pizzazz. You gotta be able to entertain a little bit. It's all about branding, entertainment, and a lot of luck. Well, I hate saying luck because people hear luck and they go, oh, so you think I didn't work hard for this? It's not luck. I would say fortune. Good fortune. Being fortunate is a better way to say it. Some people are just given much better tools for climbing to the top than others, and that people can't help it. Consistency does help. You need talent to stay big, in my opinion. I wouldn't even say that. You don't need talent. If you got money coming in, you just need to pay marketing people. That's literally it. If you start getting enough money, buy a manager. Bam, you're gonna stay relevant. That's just how it is. Because the thing is like once you get big enough as a content creator, the money starts feeding back into itself. In the sense of like you can pay for ads, you can pay for an editor, you can pay for YouTube clips, you can pay for social media managers, you can pay for marketing managers, you can pay for merch. Like, so like just it kind of all feeds back into itself once you hit like an event horizon is the right way to put it. But I managed to watch a stream again, even that means my sleep rhythm's messed up. Hi, Kartoffel, it's been a while. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for stopping by. I would say it's like 30% talent and like preparation and consistency, and then like 70% good fortune. Thank you, Ross. Enjoy your night, dude. Hope to see you back on Friday. Started 6 days ago and they already averaged 20 viewers. Oh, connections are a big thing too.
Brother.
Hey, Shovel. How you doing? Welcome in, friend. But yeah, I will also say that like, you can make up for a lack of good fortune with good connections. Like, almost entirely. Like, if you know somebody popular and you start, like, streaming with them on the regular, you will 99% of the time get popular, as long as you're entertaining. Like, that's just how it works. Like, check out the Dream SMP, for example. Like, Dream got popular and blew the fuck up. Therefore, everyone around him also blew the fuck up. And now that they've all split, anyone that hangs out with them blows the fuck up. So, would you consider yourself a good connection? Honestly, in the landscape of streaming, I am smaller than a speck of sand in the Sahara. What I mean by like good connections are like multi-hundred view people, stuff like that, that you can guarantee will like raid you on the regular and stuff like that. See ya, Estia. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you again for the raid. By the way, connections is how 90% of the indie VTubers suddenly get big. Yep, it's connections and marketing. So, for example, remember I was talking that money feeds back into itself? A lot of people don't know this, but especially for the indie scene and especially for the big indies and for the corporate scene, they all pay one another to make appearances and to watch each other's streams. So you ever wondered like, oh, like this person, like all these like big VTubers are watching this person debut. They must be all friends, which means she's super cool. The new person debuting must be super cool then. In reality, they had money and they paid all of them to watch their debut and stream it so that you think that. It is extremely common. It happens all the time. I have been propositioned myself to do it, and I think it feels scummy. So I haven't done it. So, but yeah, that is something you can do. You can pay other talents to stream along your debuts so that you get more popular. Yeah, and it's not just VTubers. It's other people as well. I follow a VTuber, claims herself to be a sun eater, and you're a sunbird goddess. Oh my god, you're about Vexoria! I hope she notices me one day. She is literally my Apophis. Unironically, she is So the Sun Eater that she represents is is meant to represent Apep or Apophis, which is known as the Sun Eater Serpent. And at the end of the world, every day and every night, I'm supposed to clash with Apophis, and I defeat him. And oh, you're talking about Kazu Kiseki. I don't think I've heard of them. Well, shit, that means there's 2 of them. I might have to look them up then. I thought it was well known that debut watch-alongs are paid. I didn't know that until a few months ago. But it's not just that either. Like, people pay each other for collabs, too. People pay for, like, raids. You'll check and see that a lot of people are really small, but they get rated by people with, like, 1,000 views. And the reason is because they go, hey, I'm streaming this time. If you're streaming and you raid me, I'll give you $200. And they're like, fucking bet. Because it's a free fucking $200. Why would you not? And then that person gets hit with $1,000, like 1,000 person fucking stimulus package right into their fucking chat. And bam. Is it that easy? It is if you have money. Because getting one raid isn't going to do anything. You need like, if a person is like 1,000 viewers average, you need to like be consistently rated by them for a couple months. And eventually, like, granted, you'll do it way quicker than most. Eventually, you'll probably end up averaging around 100 or so. Do you want $200? I mean, I do. I definitely want $200. Yeah, I'm a sacrifice in her community. Yeah, she's pretty cool. Victoria's really neat. I like Tricky, too. Honestly, all the ancient Egyptian VTubers are pretty sick.
I mean, I could squirt it in my mouth for $20.
Yeah, I could. So what? But yeah, streamer groups are all colluding. Yeah, 100%. Honestly, though, if I had to be completely honest, if you want to get popular, don't do VTubing. Become, like, a middle successful, like, find something that is mildly successful on YouTube, especially if you want to do ASMR stuff, and don't do it as a VTuber. And get, like, niche popularity, and then apply to a VTuber group and become a corpo. Work as a corpo for a year, build up a massive community off the back of that corporation, and then become an indie. Bam! You will have the largest community you will ever want or need, and you will get as much money as you fucking want, pretty much. Okay. Thank you for the follow, Trico. Welcome into the cult. How you doing? All right. I think actually, I don't know. The thing is, I've got like 2 20-minute videos, which are gonna be like 30 minutes a piece, because I'm gonna yap through them, but we'll see. Yeah, it depends on how niche the niche is. Like, for example, like, I've found pretty great success comparatively being a War Thunder streamer. However, because it's War Thunder and it's a niche, I've kind of outgrown War Thunder in the sense of I can't really get much bigger. At least on Twitch. So, yeah. Yo! Welcome in, Raiders! Welcome in, everybody. My name's Hara Rae Sol. I'm an Egyptian peregrine sun goddess. I do War Thunder variety and history streams. Thank you for the raid, Spaceman. What are you doing? How's your stream? Play a smaller game, not COD. Yeah, but I'm saying that, like, what separates being, like, a niche, a big niche VTuber or a streamer and being an actual big content creator is being able to transfer your community over from that niche to variety. The moment you can get, like, you can pull like 300-400 people in variety, you've made it. Straight up, you made it. Because most of the time with Twitch, most people will not follow you over if you're not playing the game they like. Prime example being my streams. I don't know if you guys know this. I average 30 less people if I'm not playing War Thunder. That's a truth. 30 whole less people. Is this the $200 for a raid you were talking about? Yeah, 100%, dude. That's why you don't drop viewers when you do chatting. Oh, I do, don't worry. Statistically speaking, my history streams are my least popular out of everything I do. So, if I played nothing but War Thunder day in, day out, I'd probably average in a month like 75 to 80 average viewers. But because I do history streams, which I will always do because I love history and I love these, And I need to mix it up. I can't just do War Thunder. Because of that, I average like maybe 60. Would drive the bird mad? I mean, it really didn't. Like during the Donathon, it really didn't drive me that mad because I didn't play it offline really. So I didn't go stir crazy doing it. I was so surprised seeing a history VTuber. I knew this thanks to CarrierCon. I loved CarrierCon too. I want to do some guest appearances at other conventions really soon. I will say, if you live within a drivable distance of Memphis, I will be doing a unofficial visit to Anime Blues Con. It's pretty small. I sadly got in too late to get a cool panel with them or a meeting with them, so I have to wait a whole another year again, which sucks. But I really wanted to do one. I just asked too late. I procrastinated on it. But I'll probably be hanging out. I probably won't be meeting people because I really like my private identity, but I will be likely leaving gifts and goodies if I do go. See his face, man. Thanks again for the raid, dude. Hope to see you back on Friday for Fallout New Vegas. And asking the locals where the con is. I mean, they would be able to tell you. It is across from the pyramid, quite literally. If you're standing in the pyramid parking lot, you can see the convention center, like, across the street, so. Oh, you said the Egyptian Memphis. No, honestly, I bet you could still find some convention there. But I'm not sure if you like historical RTS games. I like RTS games. I just don't know if I'd like Age of Empires. I need to try it out. I'm gonna say, like, I hate to say it because it's probably not true, but Age of Empires just seems like it's sweaty. It just seems like it's a sweaty sweat game. Now, I'm gonna double check real quick. I'm gonna give you guys a preview of what we're gonna watch tonight. So I have one video that is mildly political, but it's very interesting and it's old politics. And that is American Imperialism explained through political cartoons. And it's political cartoons from like the 50s. So that'll be neat. And then the other one I've got is Dark Christian Relics, which I've watched both of these. Both of them were very interesting. And I think they'll be fun to look at. So we'll check those out here very shortly. And that'll be fun. We'll take our 5-minute break probably in about 15 minutes. And then after my 5-minute break, I'll come back and we'll set up those videos. But I'm a casual campaign player. Okay, that makes more sense. That sounds like me when I played Warcraft 3. I've got a friend that's like a really big fan of Tyler 1 and has always been a massive fan of Warcraft 3. And he's recently gotten back into it, the competitive scene. And I'm just like, man, I remember on like PS2, I played against like 6 easy bots. That's like all I'd do. VDare was my first VTubers, and I saw you do to algorithm. I'm starting to like it. The best about small VTubers, it feels genuine communing with the community. I agree, Choka. And I'm glad you feel that way. That is something that, like, I'm not gonna lie, as I've gotten bigger, I'm thankful in the sense of that, like, our community has grown. I'm very happy about that. But I also like that I'm in the middle point where I'm big enough to always have an active chat no matter what I'm doing, which was my one wish for streaming. And yet also be able to read every chat message out and respond to them and stuff like that. I really do like that about streaming, and it will make me sad if I ever get big enough to where, like, that is an impossibility. I'm gonna have to, like, find a way to, like, set up things to where, like, everybody gets to, like, send me a pinned message or something every 5 minutes or so that I can read out. So that way everybody gets a shot, you know what I mean? Because, like, I do love reading chat. I love talking with you guys. It is easily my favorite part of my day. And it sucks ass if the chat's moving so fast I can only read, like, 1 in every 15 chats. You get the whole Fulda Gap as a campaign map? God damn. Age of Empires is on sale on Steam now. I gotcha. I probably can't take it out now because I've got so many games in the backlog, but we will at some point. being able to interact with you is also nice. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure that I know that that's a big thing for small VTubers is that you can interact with them, pretty intimately, honestly. And that's something I like about streaming myself is that like I've never watched Twitch because I found it to be boring. But I could definitely see myself getting in with like smaller VTubers like myself to where like you can actually like actively interact with them all the time. And I try to do that with stream too. I like giving you guys throwables. I like giving you guys fun sound redeems. I like being able to react and stuff like that, making it interactive so you guys have something to do. Because I know for a fact that like from my personal experience, Twitch can be boring as shit, even if they're entertaining as hell. I'd still prefer long-form YouTube content. Most definitely, you'll be doing great. Thank you, Choga. It has been 2 years running. I think it was this time last year I was averaging 40 playing War Thunder. Ow. So technically, if we go by it, I've doubled. It was either in a year or 2 years, something like that. I've doubled my War Thunder average. So that's pretty nice. Hopefully, I don't think it'll work like this, but hopefully if I keep streaming for 2 years, we'll average 160. That'd be really sick. Or at least get to 120. It's kind of why I don't really watch big streamers. I don't really watch big streamers because, like, not only is, like, streamer to chat interaction hard, but, like, it feels literally impossible. Like, at least with, like, a mid-tier one, like 300 to 400, you can send, like, a donation message and they'll read it. But, like, for really, really, really big streamers, you'll send a donation and it doesn't even pop up on the screen. Which, like, I get it. Like, it's not mean of them or wrong of them to do that, because they probably get a billion of them, and it'd be a terrible viewing experience if they're just constantly popping up. But, man, it stinks. Ace Combat stream whenever I get through my giant catalog of games. I've got, like, 10 games I've been meaning to play on stream. But because we can only stream, like, one variety game a week, like, it takes a long time to get through stuff. I've never felt bored watching one of your streams. Well, thank you, Fridge. That does mean a lot. It's a big fear of mine. And that's what is always a big fear about the history streams is that, like, I'm afraid that not a lot of people show up because it's boring. And I kind of get it. History has a bad rap because high school teachers suck ass at it. And that's that's most ways that people are exposed to it, but ow. But yeah, I really do want to get to a point where, like, I can average, like, averaging 100 for history streams on average would be really sick. I think I'd be extremely happy. I'm already very happy with where we are. But that's my next, like, shoot for the moon moment. My original shoot for the moon moment was hitting 50 average. We nailed that. We nailed partner. Now if I could hit 100 average on not War Thunder, I'd be very, very happy. It's amazing. I mean, that's probably where my voice goes out. I feel like I chat with chat way more than even, like, the chatting streamers do. I do the same, Nori. What I'll do is, because you can have, like, 4 or 5 up, I'll, like, put 3 or 4 of my friends up and then go to work. So, 4 people will always usually have at least me lurking in their chat, even if I don't know them. There's, like, been times where I went to follow somebody and I saw that I already had, like, 4,000, like, channel points with them. And I'm like, I've never seen this person before in my life. And the reason is because I'll be watching a friend and they'll raid into them and they'll be gone for like 6 hours and I'll watch them for 6 hours and they'll raid somebody else. Yeah, it can be taxing, Irony, but I like it. It's a lot of fun. I want to support the bird by viewing on my second screen. Well, thank you. Welcome back, Blitz. Doing it as a class sucks for some reason. I will say, like, the history you're craving is, like, your tier 2 classes in your undergrad and the classes in your master's are the history that you're likely craving. The first 2 years of studying history at a college is completely different than the last 2 years. And the last 2 years is completely different from studying it at a master's. You have to, your undergrad preps you for learning how to study and read history, not how to write history. For preparation and learning how to write history in your master's. That's what it's for. Also, you want some nice peace, you should look up the Guam history during World War II Korean War. I'll be sure to, Choka. Thank you. And then come home to being rated into 3 or 4 channels. Yeah, it's funny. The advanced math is the cool, fun stuff. It is. I don't know. I think also, like, History gets a bad rap because, like, sadly, like, the sports teachers are giving it because it's not seen as important or, like, nearly as hard to teach. And that's just because, like, high school history curriculum fucking sucks. Like, it really does. It's terrible. Like, at my high school, literally every history teacher outside of the AP teacher, that was all she did, were coaches. They were all coaches. And they weren't bad people. They were great people. I adored them as teachers. But they didn't exactly teach well. His high school history is just reading a book to kids and then giving them, like, a 2-paragraph paper. Oh my God. I remember in high school, like, my senior year, I had to write, like, a 4-page paper as, like, a research paper. And I nearly broke down. Meanwhile, I'm over here now where it's like, yeah, I can pump out a 30-page paper in about a couple of days. I won't have to take any gen eds. Gen eds do suck. I really kind of do wish we did like a German model kind of thing in the US where it's like, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, I think I want to do this. And it's like, all right, you start at like grade 10 and that's all you focus on until you graduate college. To boop the tummy? I mean, the belly button is really right there. Just letting you know, though, I am radioactive. You put it in there, your finger might not be coming back out with any skin on it. Just letting you know. Fair warning. My first 2 grades for grad school came in and I made A's. Let's go! But that's what you should be doing. You should be getting A's. I don't know how it works for you, Howler, but the way my master's program worked is that if you get a B+, if you get lower than a B+, there's a problem. I'm not kidding. A lot of people don't know this about master's courses. It is seen as a very bad thing if you get lower than an A. I'm not kidding. That is a very big academic standard. Like, so like an A- is the equivalent of getting a B. A B+ is the equivalent to getting a C. And then anything below a B+ is seen as an F. I'm not even kidding. Are master's classes supposed to be really easy? No, they're very hard. For example, so I took 3 classes a semester during my master's. And for each class, each week, I had to read a book. So I was reading 3 books, textbooks, or historical books a week. Aren't most masters largely self-taught? Not really. You self-read, but the discussion, usually your classes are a ton of reading outside, and then a lot of discussion inside the classroom. Real loud 2 C's at most over here. B's are okay. I gotcha. I was about to say, if you're not doing history, it might be different, but for history, that's all it is in most places. I'm willing to lose my lips to raspberry it, touch it, and your whole bloodline gets cursed with hemophilia. I'm doing comp sci. Yeah, that makes sense. Because, like, you're going to get a lot harder classes in comp sci. Worth? I don't think it is. Oh, my God. Chad actually is like, I would like to blow a raspberry on the grill. On the literal, like, stovetop grill. Just because it's cute. That's insane. You're all insane. Look, I might be honest. The cold indoctrination might have worked a little too well. It might have worked a little too well. Anything to hear Hara giggles? That's not gonna make me giggle. I can promise you that. All right, friends, it's 1:30. I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute breather and run an ad so you guys don't get pre-rolls. When I get back in 5 to 10 minutes, we will watch our videos. I guess I'll ask real quick, chat, would you prefer to watch Dark Christian Relics or American Imperialism explained through political cartoons first? Just say cartoons or relics on which one you want. And we'll start off with that one first. That way we can guarantee we get that one in. I'll give you guys like 30 seconds. Okay, it's looking... I'll give like 10 more seconds. Okay. Cartoons is leading, but it looks like Relics finished it out. So we'll start off with Dark Christian Relics. Minecraft. There is no Minecraft. Shut up. Chicken jockey. So we'll be right back, friends. Don't go anywhere. If you do, I will curse your whole bloodline with sickle cell anemia. So don't test me. I'm finally back. There's something I want to talk about. Yeah, you better scatter. Scatter like roaches before I stomp on you. With a superheated fucking foot. Like, I don't know if y'all have ever seen that video of that guy, like, hitting a roach with a butane torch, but that's gonna be, like, my foot on all of you. But, yeah, I was talking. Sorry I took a little extra time. I completely forgot to mention something that I'm very happy about. Excuse me. Well, I didn't come up with the concept for the exhibit. I am officially working on my first exhibit. I created an object list earlier today. So essentially, like, I gathered up items for the collection that I thought would, be fitting, for the exhibit, and I will be making a, layout of the exhibit, probably this Saturday, and getting all that stuff together. So I'm finally hitting the point where I'm like, man, this feels really professional. Because, like, I really love that I get to do the accessioning item stuff. But this feels like something completely different, you know? Like, this feels like the culmination of what I've been working towards. So that feels really, really nice. And it ought to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So this is a video. It's Dark Christian Relics. It's by Hochelaga. I think that's how you say that. Hochelaga. Weird name. But yeah, this is on Dark Christian Relics. If you're thinking where it's gonna be dark like evil, it's not like evil. They're just creepy. They're like really creepy is what they are. So that's what we'll be starting off with watching. No doubt I'm gonna make fun of it because Catholic relics are fucking weird. Prime example being the Shroud of Turin. If anyone knows what the Shroud of Turin is. So yeah. Don't get my ass beaten, falling order with my favorite bird in the grove background. Let's go! Congrats on the exhibit. Thank you, Fridge. I'm really excited with it. But yeah, it ought to be really neat. So I'm officially being handed over the, like, creative reins, and I'm very happy about that. Okay. So, just in time for a papal conclave. See, that's the thing, is that Max Miller did a fantastic video yesterday, on the papacy. And I really wanted to watch it tonight, but it does not fall within my rule of at least waiting 2 weeks, because that is his content. He worked hard to create it, and I want to make sure he gets all the views for it before I so shamelessly rip it off for my chat's entertainment. So if you guys want to go check that out, I would definitely watch it. He makes some old, like, he makes like 15th century ribs. They look really good. But he also has a lot of really fun and really neat, interesting information about some of the craziest fucking elections for Pope in history. They're fucking nuts. There was one, like, I think he said, like, there was one where, like, the popes did not, or, like, the cardinals did not pick a pope for 3 years. And during that time, like, 2 of those years, they were locked in a building without a roof and were fed bread and, like, 1 slice of bread and water every day. And they still wouldn't pick one. And by the end of the 3 years, they were like, you know what? How about we agree to disagree and we just pick a pope of a guy that we just all fucking hate collectively. And they did it. And they fucking did it. They were like, fuck it. They were like, fuck it. We can't come to a conclusion of who's to be the best pope, so we'll just pick the one we all hate so it's the least worst. And that's what they did. And he was pope and then died like 2 years later. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking nuts. Like, it's so fucking stupid. It's something that can only happen in, like, a 15th century religious context. That being said, also, if you want to watch the movie Conclave, fantastic movie, would highly recommend. It is very, spot on for current happenings with the Catholic Church. So it's really cool. We're gonna go ahead and get this video started, though. I've held you guys off long enough. Let's go ahead and check out these Dark Christian relics. Let me make sure it's not too loud.
In Christianity, there are many sacred items known as relics.
The Shroud of Turin is fake as fuck. It is, like, not even a question. It is 1 billion% fake. It has been scientifically confirmed to be fake. They carbon dated that bitch to like the 16th century. That fucker is 1,500 years too young. That is in no way, the Shroud of Turin is in no way real. It has been studied so hard. It really has been. Mary's skull is probably fake. It probably is. I would actually argue that Peter's jawbone, which is focused in this, I think it's Peter's, is real. I would not be surprised if it's real. It's a fake artifact, holy shit. That's what a lot of them are, honestly. He debunks a good number of them in here, but I would not be surprised if Peter's jawbone is actually real. Like if Peter was an actual figure. Because I think we actually have like historical documentation of Peter actually being the head of the first Catholic Church. Like the first Roman church. So that would not surprise me. Like the Spear of Longinus, all three of them. Yeah, the Spear of Longinus is fake too. So is the Holy Grail in the sense of like there is no such thing. Because like isn't the Holy Grail's like whole mysticism that like it captured the blood of Christ and thus became holy? When in like reality, like it doesn't exist because there's nothing in the Bible that states that anyone caught Jesus's blood with a chalice. So like, yeah. Yeah, the Peter in the Bible. Yeah. The Peter Griffin Peter? Yep. You know what? No, I don't care. No, Peter, I'm not thinking of that now whenever I read the fucking Bible. I'm not thinking of Peter Griffin. That blows my fucking mind. That's crazy. The spear that speared Jesus? The holy spear? That spear alone. All right. But yeah, Shroud of Turin's fake as fuck.
Work, and what secrets do they contain? Welcome to Strange Christian Art. This episode,
dude, I love that like medieval
relics.
font. Also, that is horrifying. That is nightmarish.
Of Christianity, but especially in Catholicism, relics are sacred.
The Spear of Longinus is fake. Well, this is what I get for thinking a spear like that cool would be real. I know, right?
In their prayers,
yeah, it's pretty fake. Are you a tweaker? Sometimes.
Today, relics come.
It depends on what depends on how much rogue energy I've had today.
Three distinct classes. First class, the actual physical remains of a saint. Second class,
that's weird,
objects
Janelle.
That were personally
everything's showing up for me.
Used by a saint. Third class, items that have come into contact with either a first or second class relic. As we
I have not 72nd.
List, we will see many different types of these relic. Of course.
So that's actually something also, if a lot of people don't know about Catholicism, is that like not only are saints a big thing in Catholicism, but being buried close to one or a holy artifact is also massive. Like, because the belief is that there's this like belief unique to Catholicism, where like you have a greater chance of entering heaven if you are within a closer proximity of someone or something that is holy. That is like an actual thing. Like that is an actual thing that the Catholics believe. So that is why like early Christianity, especially in Rome and places like France, have massive fucking catacombs, because the whole fucking idea was like, I want to be buried under a holy fucking church, next to a holy fucking relic, next to the body of fucking Peter. Because if I'm in all three of those, it doesn't matter if I did some of the worst human shit imaginable. I'm going to fucking heaven. As long as I pay like 3 drachmas and get buried under the church, I go to heaven. The Holy Bible, you dare question the words of the mighty Jimmy? Play the clip, play the sound alert. But welcome in, Prussian, how's it going? So yeah, that is a key thing to Catholicism. And it is
the Bible. This is the Bible. You question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
Absolutely. But yeah, what was I saying? But yeah, being close to holy relics is extremely important. Iconoclasm is, I believe, the right term, is also very big in Catholicism. And that was a major split between Protestantism and Catholicism. And a big split with Catholicism and a lot of Christian offshoots today is the worship of iconoclasm, which is like icons of Jesus. Some would say, like Catholics would say, because it's an image of Jesus, it's holy and should be worshipped, even if it's painted by a human. But all the other Christian sects will typically say, well, actually, you're worshiping an idol because that's an artist's like creation and like perception of Jesus, not actually Jesus. But I just imagine rolling slots on whether you get into heaven or not. I mean, it kind of is like that. It feels like with Catholicism. It does feel a little random. It really just kind of is like, it's very materialistic, which is kind of weird to say. Like, I feel like Catholicism is very materialistic in the sense of like, you need holy items, you need holy people, you need the communion every time, which in itself is materialistic because bread and wine, materials. Icons, statues, saints, statues of saints, stuff like that. It feels like it has to have a lot more tangibility to it, mixed in with its tradition compared to like other branches of Christianity. So it's very interesting. And that's like purely because of the way it grew up in Rome.
Of course, some of which are quite literally the preserved remains of the saint. All right,
the thought of
let's
rigging the
begin
dice in
with
your
our
favor
first
depending on where
relic,
you get buried is hilarious. It is. It definitely
the
is.
incorruptible jaw of Saint Anthony. Saint Anthony
I was thinking of Saint
Padua
Anthony, not
is
Peter.
one of the most revered saints in Catholic history. A legend.
Does John d'Arc skeleton? Do you mean Joan? Ivan, you mean Joan, buddy? Joan of Arc skeleton? I don't even know if that's actually Joan of Arc skeleton. And I think it... Actually, I don't know if it counts as a holy item. I think the Catholic Church, since her murder, has actually come together to say that she was holy. So I think she is. I don't think she's a saint, but I think she is holy, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Catholic Church does find her holy these days. I think it took them like 100 years, but I think they did actually retroactively be like, oops, our bad. We accidentally burned her at the stake. I guess she was holy. I guess we'll have to let her be a saint now. But yeah. I'm Catholic and all the religious classes I received didn't really mention that materialistic stuff. Really? Like, so like Catholicism for like in your classes didn't really focus on like saints? Like at all? That's crazy. That blows my mind. That's like a key integral part of Catholicism. Ooh, my bad, church. It's more like ooh, my bad, a British church. The French knew she was holy. The French were very convinced that she was holy. It was the British that were like, yeah, let's shove a giant wooden spike up her ass and light her on fire. After torturing her and probably doing worse to her beforehand. So, yeah. It's kind of ironic in the sense of, like, it's very Christ-like in a way. In the sense of, like, Joan of Arc got betrayed by people of her own religion, was attached to a giant hunk of wood and killed slowly and agonizingly, only to like live on as this amazing like religious symbol, and retroactively, even by the people that committed the crime, look back on it and go, oh shit, she was holy and we do believe in that religion. So that's what happened with Rome. I mean, Rome crucified the fuck out of Jesus, and then, like, 200 years later, they were like, yeah, he probably was. He probably was God. Like, honestly, not to be heretical or anything, but if I was Jesus, I'm not sure it'd be cool with seeing wooden crosses everywhere after what happened. I don't know. Some people have said, like, putting up wooden crosses for the crucifixion and worshiping it is kind of like celebrating JFK's assassination by carrying around small Carcano rifles, but it's not the same. I definitely get it. No one ever mentioned the holy relics or that they were even holy or a lot of materialistic things. Not calling you out, just thought I'd share my experience. No, it's totally fine. That being said, I am looking at it from a lens of a historical perspective, not a modern theological perspective. Because I'm not Catholic. That's just what I know how Catholicism was in ancient Rome and how it was leading up until easily the medieval era. Things might have changed the modern church, because I know that like a lot of things have changed with other denominations as well. Like, for example, like Presbyterian, like Presbyterian's like hardly Christian anymore. Like, frankly, it's like, yeah, there's a God. Let's play some rock music with a full fucking band and have a cookout. And it's like, all right. Doesn't really feel like a service, but sure thing.
Preacher, his relic speaks to his greatest gift, his voice. This is the jaw of St. Anthony.
That is horrifying.
To preserve the essence of the saint.
This thing has to be an SCP. I refuse. I know I paused this again. We're only a minute 30 in. This has to be an SCP. I refuse to believe it's not. Look at this fucker. Look at this fucker. This thing has spiritual powers that can murder like thousands of people through a mere like convoluted series of actions. This is like one of those things where it's like, if you stare at it at 11, it's like unironically like, if you stare at it at exactly 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday night when the sun is in a waxing crescent, and you are currently jorking it to Waluigi porn, while the moon quite literally hits perfectly on the face as you jism, literally everyone in the city of Rome will be hit with a massive aluminum baseball bat right in the back of the fucking head, and be given third-degree concussions, unless their firstborn can do a handstand within the next 15 minutes. Kind of thing. Like, that's what it feels. That's what it feels like it is. Like, that's what it feels like it looked like it would do. What the hell is that? Hey, look, I'm just taking it from that one really old Twitter meme that was like, when Jesus was on the cross, he looked ahead and saw every single sin that humanity would commit, and that includes some guy blasting it to Waluigi porn. That's some real cool shit that he'd be willing to die for that. Just saying. Is that his eyes? We'll get to it.
Speech. The remains are housed in this ornate reliquary, lavishly adorned with gold and jewels, above which rests an intricately carved golden halo that encircles the saint's head. Now,
okay, also I'd like to add, maybe it's just me, but like every time I see like jewels, they don't look real to me. Like, these look like glass. Like, they look like shit you'd get at the mall for like a quarter. Like, they just don't look real to me. And I feel that way with like every like gem I see. They don't look real. They look fake. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not like dazzled by bedazzled things.
Now, at first glance,
I love gold!
As though it has eyes. I certainly thought so. But this
oh yeah, it's definitely real. The Catholic Church has a
glass.
stupid amount of money. They're definitely real.
Angle, the illusion disappears entirely. It's certainly a haunting object. Yet I find that there's something strangely beautiful about it. And
would have been super expensive back then. That's true, but it helps when you like have a bunch of kings on your side that are literally the richest people in existence.
In one story, even the fish would gather to hear him speak. But his life
okay, hold on. That's got to be a crazy fucking sight. Like, this might be heretical, but if I see a guy preaching and he's a saint, supposedly, and this guy is standing at a lake's edge. Actually, I was gonna say it sounds demonic, but it's not, bro. I could do the same thing. Hold on, I could do the same thing. If I go to my local sushi restaurant right fucking now that has a koi pond and stand at the edge of it reading my gospel, I guarantee every single fucking koi fish in that pond will come up to the edge of that water to hear me speak. Literally the entire time, sitting there going, like fucking like at the end of like a Brazzers video, like all fucking 50 of them sitting there just going up. The entire time I'm preaching my gospel. So I don't think that shows he's a saint. I'm gonna be honest. I can do that at my local sushi joint. I can do that right now. I can leave my house right now with a bag of diced hot dogs and achieve the same thing. Those fish will be there for hours.
He succumbed to illness at the age of 35. 30 years after his death, his body was exhumed, and what was found there shocked everyone. According to
sorry,
legend,
Blitz.
his jaw and tongue
Yeah, unless you have
been
VIP,
perfectly
it'll
preserved.
time you out for
Many
things. I
believed it
tried
was
to
a
greenlight
sign
Twitch and
that
it
his
didn't
voice
work.
had been blessed
Could
by
a mod
God.
repost
For
that?
over
If you want to send that to the
700
Discord
years,
Blitz and
Saint
add a moderator, they'll
Anthony's
post it for you.
remains have been kept on display. Pilgrims from around the world continue to visit Padua to venerate his holy relic, often during sacred processions.
Thank you.
Nowadays, Saint Anthony remains the patron saint of lost things. So, if you ever find yourself searching for something lost,
The patron
look
saint
no
of lost
further
things.
than his sacred relic. Speaking of lost things.
Okay, so you're
next
telling
we
whoa. He's the patron saint of lost things. I lost my GBA cartridge for Pokemon Fire Red and Pokemon Ruby when I moved houses 15 years ago. Wait, no, it might have been older, more than that. It might have been like fucking 20 years ago. So like, are you telling me if I fly to Rome and like, I don't know, like get jiggy with that guy's jawbone, I get those back. Those things are like $400 a piece right now, man. Like, if I give his jawbone like a rub, like a soft rub, like a caress, you're telling me I get those back? Because I'll go there right now. I want those back, man. They had my saves on them. I had Groudon and everything. Shit was tight.
Great success.
Would that count as losing something if you lose your virginity? Oh my god, if you rub his jaw hard enough, you get it back. That's crazy. Hey Fisto, how's it going? She's sticking her thumb right up that skull, exactly.
Turn to one of Christianity's most enigmatic figures. The skull of Mary Magdalene. Beneath the crypt of a
Okay, this
basilica
has to be
in
fake,
France
though.
lies a humble skull housed in a lavish gold reliquary. This is the head of Mary Magdalene, believed to be one of Jesus' closest companions. Her head is supported by 4 angels.
Okay, wait, am I fucking stupid? I thought Mary Magdalene was his mom. Am I brain dead? I thought Mary Magdalene was his mom. No, they're different. Are you telling me there's been 2 Marys this whole fucking time? Are you telling me there's been 2 Marys this whole time and I had no clue? For 2,025 years, there were 2 Marys and I had no fucking clue about it. There's 3? 5? What? Since when? That blows my mind. I always thought Mother Magdalene was like I thought they called her Mother Magdalene because it was Jesus's mom. That's crazy. I don't know what to think now. I didn't realize there were 2 Marys. Whoever wrote this book, why'd you name them both Mary, bro? That's crazy. God. Fictional novel making 101. Don't name 2 of your tertiary characters the same fucking thing. Who calls her Mother Magdalene? That's what I thought. I thought that's what they called her. Was it just Mother Mary? That blows my mind. Jesus fucked his way out of a Mary and fucked a different Mary all in one life. Ah! Jesus came out of the Virgin Mary and said, look, at least one Mary's getting fucked in this book. Jesus literally popped out of one Virgin Mary and said, look, there's gonna be one Mary that gets fucked, so help me God. Ow. You know I'm right though. That's definitely what he was thinking. He was like, look, I gotta like counteract that. That was supernatural. We're gonna make it natural now. We're gonna even out the universe's chakras. I don't even know if you guys know what that is yet, but Jesus got down at least once in his life. That's something that someone asked. Okay, I was watching a podcast and someone legitimately asked, like, did Jesus fuck? It was the super mega cast. It was the super mega cast, I'll be honest. It was not something smart. It was not something intellectual. It was the super mega cast or the super mega show or the super mega podcast, whatever they want to call it now. Well, we're not talking about marrying. Marrying doesn't matter. Did Jesus get his dick wet? I think that's a legitimate question to ask. I feel like he did. I like to think he did. You know for a fact, because he already knew what was going to happen at the end of his life. So, like, okay, look, you telling me right now, like, are you seriously telling me right now? You're telling me right now that if you were a god that created the universe and you made creatures that had sex when you didn't have to, and you came down to Earth for like 30 years, which is like a blink of an eyeball for you, are you telling me you wouldn't be like, I wonder what's up with it? I wonder how good it really is. Like, I made them. They do it all the time. They seem pretty fucking obsessed with it. No, there's no way. I refuse to believe it. Any rational creature, not even person, would be like, I gotta try it once. I gotta try it once. It goes against his teachings? How so? How does it go against Christianity if he gets him a nice piece of ass? Hey, Archong, welcome in. How's it going? It goes against Judaism. It goes against Judaism to get your dick wet, to lay with a woman. That's crazy. Okay, a guy then. I definitely just made somebody very mad with that. To have sex out of marriage, yes. Okay, but who's to say you didn't get married and the Bible just didn't write it down? Also, how can something be against his teachings when he does it? It can't be against his teachings if he does it. He's literally God. Like, literally. The papacy will remember this. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow with a waxed note in my fucking mailbox with like a pipe bomb, but it only has like holy water in it, and it says the Catholic Church the papacy sends its regards. It's gonna blow up, hit me in the face, and be like, ah! A waxed death threat, exactly. Hey, Trash Panda! It's the Jaden versus Jay Schlatt clip all over again. Was that a thing? Interesting. All right, I'll get us back to the video. We've only watched like 3 minutes because I keep yapping.
Their outstretched hands acting as a stand. Taken as a whole, it's a truly magnificent artifact.
That's crazy.
But why do I hear Dark Souls music? Beyond its stunning medieval craftsmanship, this relic holds another intriguing backstory, and possibly the secrets of the saint herself. While not counted among the 12 disciples, Mary Magdalene plays a crucial role in the story of Jesus. She was present at the crucifixion and among the first to witness his resurrection. Yet, little is known about what happened to her afterwards. According to one popular legend, she sailed to France to found one of the earliest Christian communities. These legends gained momentum when in 1279, a mysterious woman's skull was
Are
found
on our way
in
to
a
causing a
tomb
Christian
dating back to
schism.
the
I try my
1st
best.
century. And of course, it didn't take long for people to
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name.
In recent years, renewed attention has been given to this relic. 2 forensic artists have used the skull to create a 3D reconstruction of the person's face. The result was this, an image of a woman of Mediterranean descent. Could this be the...
It'd be really fucking funny if they did a 3D image and it's like, it's a guy that looks like a first generation immigrant taxi driver in New York. Like thick fucking mustache, like big eyebrows, hairy chest. You know, he definitely sits there and is like, hey, how you doing, friend? Just like really cheerful, but like looks nothing like you would imagine Mary Magdalene to look like. That would be absolutely hilarious. Hey, thank God she doesn't have a weak chin though, you know what I mean? You know she was working out that jawline. She was mewing, definitely. That would have been really bad. That would have been more embarrassing, is if she had a weak jawline.
the face of Mary Magdalene. It's impossible to know for sure, but researchers are now working to create a full body rendering using other relics associated with the saint. Regardless, the relic of Mary Magdalene endures, forever preserved in this beautiful yet haunting reliquary. The heads of John the Baptist. This third relic
heads
belongs to one of the most
like more than one
figures in the New Testament, John the Baptist. According to the Gospels, John met a grisly fate. He was imprisoned and eventually executed by King Herod. His head was gifted to the king's daughter on a platter. Now, what happened to his head remains a mystery, but in the centuries that followed, not one, but 4 different places have claimed to have found his grim relic. The most famous of these is kept in the Cathedral of Amiens in France. In a small chapel within the cathedral, a skull is enshrined on a gold platter, just like in the story.
You know that Jesus isn't God, but God's son or something like that? I haven't read those books in a long time. Okay, you're actually wrong. In the sense of like, in reality, he is God. It's called the Holy Trinity. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's hard to understand, even for like people that like study Christianity, I'm pretty sure, where it's like, God is in a way separate from Jesus, but Jesus is also God, who is also the Holy Spirit. I don't even know how to describe it. No, it's not even that. It's not even that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit make up God. They make up the Trinity. The thing is that like, the Trinity is its own thing, but God also makes up all individual pieces of the Trinity. But they don't all make God, they make the Trinity. Yeah, it also depends on whichever 1 billion sects of Christianity you believe in, so.
Maestro in Rome, there's a skull fragment complete.
Yeah, it's almost like a it's almost like an MCU version. Like each of them are MCU versions of different gods.
And jeweled roses. And the final alleged head, it's not housed
that
in a church
kind of makes sense, Addictive.
Mosque. The Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, one of the oldest.
See, the thing is like, you're right, Addictive, that's kind of what it is, but it's like if water was ice, water, and steam all at the same time as well. So, like, it is ice, water, and steam, but also at the same time is literally all 3 ice, water, and steam. So God is bigger than the Trinity, but the Trinity are all parts of God. It's like God is a part of the Trinity, but all 3 parts are a part of God. Because, like, the Trinity is God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And while Jesus and the Holy Spirit are seen as separate from God, as their own things, they're also still, like a portion of God. I don't know. It's really confusing. Can we go 30 seconds without pausing? No. That's kind of the entire point of these, is to talk about the videos. If you want to just watch the video, this isn't kind of the place for that. The whole point is to communicate about the video. That's the whole point of a react stream. If you aren't adding anything to it, it's not a react stream, it's just a watch along. It's just stealing content. This is some 4th dimension shit. It's confusing, but I'll also admit I haven't entirely grasped it, so.
In the Islamic world contains a shrine dedicated to John the Baptist, who is also a revered prophet in Islam.
Why does he look like that?
Multiple heads, but only one John the Baptist. Although a multi-headed prophet would make for some pretty hardcore Christian art. It's an unusual predicament, but surprisingly common. During the Middle Ages, relics were in high demand, and there were always people.
I gotcha. See you, Choka. Thank you for coming and hanging out, dude. It does mean a lot. Hope to see you back on Friday for New Vegas.
Alleged fragments of the true cross, you'd have enough wood to build a small forest. So far, we've seen 3 relics, but we're only scratching
They're all
the
skulls,
surface.
too.
It's a miracle that
or
any
parts
of
of
these
skulls
have actually survived. You see, there were times in history when they were nearly lost altogether. During the Protestant Reformation, many relics were viewed as idolatrous, seen to be contradicting biblical teachings against graven images. In those turbulent years, churches were looted and burned, Christian art was defaced, and countless relics were destroyed. In Catholicism, however,
seems a
they
bit
do not
weird that
seem to
skulls
be
are a
a
recurring
problem.
subject here.
In
Well, like I
fact,
said, the
church
bodies of
clarifies
saints
that
are like
believers
seen
Great
as like
success.
worship the
extremely
object,
holy
or
and
even the
coveted
saint
because you want to be
it
buried
belonged
next to them. So
Instead,
naturally, they're going to
relics are
save the heads and the
venerated
bodies.
in order for a saint to pray on their behalf. Think of them as a spiritual aid. Of course, the debate over relics
Biblically
has
accurate John
persisted
sounds
for
terrifying, I
centuries
agree.
and will likely continue for many more. But few relics have garnered as much controversy as our next one. The Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of
This
Turin.
14-foot-long linen cloth has had a remarkable history. If you look closely at the fabric, you'll see the faint outline of a person. When enhanced, the image reveals the figure of a bearded man with long hair.
Also,
bearing
my
scars
thing
that
is,
suggest
just-
he might have
Just to say, like, if you look at this face, it feels too accurate to like the medieval interpretation of Jesus. You know what I mean? Like it feels too spot on. Like it looks too much like the paintings that they'd paint in the medieval era and a little bit earlier to represent Jesus. You know what I mean? Like that's what kind of gives it away for me is it's like you're telling me that those artists that like painted Jesus is practically white, like with a mustache and a goatee, had it right, like entirely. It does not look like Count Dooku. That was a commission art, by the way. Really? Was it really commissioned?
with long hair, bearing scars that suggest he might have been executed. Many have speculated that this is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ, and it's not without reason. It closely matches many historic depictions of Jesus throughout
Historic
art.
depictions
Of
that were
course,
all
if
way
this
later
relic
than the life
really
of
belonged
Jesus.
to Jesus, it would be one of the most valuable and sacred relics in history. But while the shroud presents a compelling image,
Looks
it's
like
not without
Asmongold.
its
Nah, he's got too
detractors.
many
Since
teeth.
1988, several laboratories have used
There's not any
radiocarbon
cockroaches on the
dating and have
shroud,
placed
so
the
nah, it
cloth
doesn't look like
within
him.
the mid-14th century. Well within
Jesus
the
probably
medieval
brushed
era.
his teeth
This
more
has
than
led many
Asmongold
to
did.
suspect it is a forgery, albeit an incredibly convincing one. However, the results have been hotly debated ever since. As recently as 2022, Italian researchers have used a pioneering X-ray technique to analyze a small segment of the shroud. Their findings suggest that the linen appears to date between 55 to 74 CE, a time frame that aligns closely with the historical period of Jesus' burial.
Oh.
When announced, these results caused a stir. Could this really be the face of Jesus? As of this video's release, further testing is ongoing, and not everyone is convinced.
He
In the
looks like a
meantime,
homeless
we'll
guy
have
that
to
hangs
await
outside
the
my local
results
Walmart.
of future studies.
Did anyone
The
else?
blood miracle.
Does anyone
This
else feel
next
that way?
relic is a vial of dried human.
Like this depiction right here, bro. It looks. It looks like a homeless guy that hangs outside my local Walmart, asking me to buy a candy bar from him for like $4. Ain't no way I have the top clip. You probably do for now. There's not a ton of people that watch them, so.
This video's release. Further testing is ongoing, and not everyone is convinced. In the meantime, we'll have to
He
await
kind
the
of
results
does.
of
He's a
future
little too
studies.
frail, but I agree.
The
He's a little
blood
too thin,
miracle. This next relic is a vial of dried human blood.
Why
but
does that look
one
like a
with
century egg?
Remarkable claim to fame. On the 19th of September every year, people across Naples gather to see the dried blood of Saint Januarius miraculously turn into liquid. As with many relics,
Was the guy that
there's
followed
no
him up Saint
definitive
Februarius?
scientific explanation for
Hey,
why
Lee,
this
it's going
happens,
good. How you doing,
largely
buddy?
Because comprehensive studies have been restricted.
What
But
is a
some
century
researchers
egg?
suggest
Oh,
that the
no.
vial may contain a substance that
You don't know what a
naturally
century egg
liquefies
is.
when shaken.
I'll
That
let you look
said,
that one up,
is when
buddy.
the dried blood fails to liquefy altogether, which many interpret as a bad omen. In the last century,
Do not look
some
like
of
it.
those
Do not
years
look at the
have included
pictures. Go with the Wikipedia
1939,
description.
1940 and 1943, all within the Second
Nicely.
World War, and more recently 2020.
I hope
where,
it's a good
well,
read.
we all know how that went. The Lost Coins of Judas Iscariot. Until now, we've discussed holy relics, but now it's time to talk about the unholy relics, like the so-called Judas coins, the 30 pieces of silver that Judas Iscariot received in exchange for
Why is he
betraying
ginger?
Jesus. One of these coins is believed to be kept in a museum in Ireland. This ancient
In
decadracon
Ireland?
dates to the classical era and is engraved with figures from Roman mythology. But what's most intriguing is the gold band around its edge, inscribed with the Latin phrase, "This is the price of blood." The inscription, of course, implies that the coin once belonged to Judas Iscariot, although it's impossible
Yummy
to verify
century
such a
egg, I
claim,
hate you.
and historians agree that the gold rim is likely a later addition. That said, this relic is directly tied to one of the most infamous betrayals in the Bible. It's said that whoever touches the coin will be plagued with bad luck. Over the course of this list, we've seen relics that connect us to saints, and in some cases, sinners. As a collection, they seem to straddle the line.
I do like
between
eating
the
century
deeply
eggs. Sorry,
disturbing
Hara.
and
I
the
don't like
hauntingly
them.
beautiful.
Ew.
Of course, relics like these offer many Christians a sacred connection to the divine, and not all of them are dark. Among them, my personal favourite is something I call the Golden Bird of Saint Onufrius, and for one reason alone. This reliquary
He's flipping
is
the bird,
dedicated
bro.
to the patron saint of lawyers, but it's been damaged in a rather unfortunate way. And relics like these were never meant to be feared. They were meant to be adored. And while today they may seem unsettling, the Christianity of old was far more comfortable with things that we might now consider dark. To me, I think these relics connect us to something unknowable. A far more ancient side of Christianity that the world has, in many ways, moved away from. And there are so many examples of
Yeah, you
this
can blame the
throughout
medieval
history,
Catholic Church
just
for that
like
one.
a mysterious book written in 1552.
They moved away from
filled
holy
with
objects and more towards
terrifying
tithes
images,
and
all
confession.
warning of a coming apocalypse. But that's a topic for another video. Watch here to find out more.
Alright, that was really cool. But what I did learn from that is that it could be really funny to make my own fake holy relics. Just saying. Because, like, I'm not gonna lie, that Judas Iscariot coin looked fucking dumb. Like, it did not, like, Ireland. How did it find its way to Ireland? Oh, and it happens to be wrapped in gold? Okay, yeah, whatever. Whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. Sure thing, bro. Sure thing, man. They're actually doing this to me tomorrow? Doing what? The coin wrapping you in gold? Sick. Sign me up. All right, we're gonna change over to the next video real quick.
Hey, thanks for watching.
No. All right, so this one's really interesting. This one is by the moment it fucking loads. It's by Andre Dutra. And it is on American Imperialism Explained Through Political Cartoons. So yeah. When you playing War Game, when I get through the giant list of games I've already got to play.
Which displays the evolution of the American Empire
really
through the
quiet.
life cycle of an increasingly rotund Uncle Sam. The journey of this nation from a scrappy young upstart to a gluttonous imperial power. President Donald Trump has always used nostalgia as a central part of his political rhetoric, with
Sorry, I need to turn up a little bit more.
his Make America Great Again slogan serving as a vague allusion to some amorphous past. Perhaps the most concrete reading of this play to nostalgia would place it somewhere in the 1950s. That era commonly associated with nuclear families and post-war prosperity that saw
But
the
that's a
United
different
States
thing. Well, the thing
become
is
a
that,
global
like,
hegemon. But
it's not crazy that a Roman, like a Roman, I don't even know if it was, yeah, I guess it was technically Roman. A Roman coin ends up in Ireland. Like, they made it, they had, like, the Hadrian's Wall and shit like that, for example. Like, so it's not that crazy that, like, a coin got there. But the fact that it's Judas's coin is, like, ridiculous. Because that means that the coin is no longer going from Rome and purposefully moved to, like, Great Britain for, like, the purpose of Romans stationed at Hadrian's Wall to trade. Instead, that means it went to the Middle East and then, like, across 200 years made its way all the way back up to fucking Ireland. Well, everyone knew that it was Judas's coin. Yeah, fucking bullshit. Hey, Empowered. It's been a good while. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back.
Prior to the significant social progress and cultural upheaval of the 1960s. Following the Second World War, the United States stepped into the spotlight of the world stage. The old powers
Thank
of
you for the
Europe
lurk,
were
Wyvern. I'll
ravaged
happily take
and
your
needed
organs.
to rebuild, but the U.S. was entering an era of unprecedented prosperity, where it became the leader of the free world, so to speak. The world's policeman, protecting its own interests and sphere of influence across the globe. This is the most prevalent story of American global power, but it isn't what the cartoon is portraying. In fact, it's from nearly half a century earlier, 1899. But it's more relevant now than ever.
I didn't realize until now.
Feels separate from
I'll
that
point it out in a
post-war
minute.
period he so often alluded to in his rhetoric. It channels a different era.
Funko Pop spotted! Ew! Ah! Ah! Disgusting!
Is not without her unfavorable portrayals. This illustration, published in
Oh.
1901,
I accidentally just skipped
actually
ahead.
remarkably old. Concerns about echo chambers and some about the democratization of media. How expanded means of communication
We were here.
about, let alone feel nostalgia.
Funko Pop, Hara, please
no.
no.
Of the American Empire.
Please
under
no.
The presidency of William
Can we do a
McKinley.
Funko
The
Pop
25th
history lesson? I love
president
Funko
is
Pop. I'm gonna
someone who's brought
Funko
up
Pop
very often
my
in
fist up
popular
your ass.
culture. Trump made a much more explicit effort to tie himself to Andrew Jackson during his first administration through his legacy of populism and fighting for the common man. McKinley is often overshadowed by the gregarious young VP who would replace him upon his assassination. He came into office at the tail end of the Gilded Age as a business-friendly Republican with protectionist trade policy and expansionist foreign policy.
Wow.
Two elements that are certainly worth exploring given our
It's all
current
about that
political situation.
U2s. I don't like
would
those
argue that
either.
The Spanish-American War, which occurred during McKinley's time in office, and to which he is closely associated, has the largest disparity of any American
Don't ease into that.
between its
Oh
impact on
no.
our history and how often we discuss it in popular culture. Much is made today about
Yeah,
the
I would prefer a
democratization
Fumo, please.
of media. How expanded means of communication has given a voice to an unprecedented amount of people. Perhaps what is even more covered, however, are the negative consequences of this surge in communication. If anyone has the ability to say anything on the internet, then logically you would
Okay.
be able to find some sort of
Something I want to comment about, because when I watched this video, it annoyed me a little bit. I don't know why it annoys me. It's just kind of weird. Like, it feels like this entire video that he's making, it feels like he's trying to hold himself back from laughing. Like, the entire time. Like, he's kind of just got, like, a shit-eating grin on his face. Nothing against him. It's just that he's, like, grinning the entire time, and it seems like he's trying to not laugh, and it's like, what is so fucking funny? Like, you're making a great video, but like, what is hilarious? Like, it feels like there's multiple points while he's talking too, or it sounds like he's about to laugh and he's holding it back.
reassurance for any argument, regardless of how ridiculous.
Nice,
that
Power. I
argument
wish you
may
luck.
be. This has led to a rise in discussion of political echo chambers, where the media one
I wouldn't say his
consumes is
face weirds
tailored
me
to
out. I'm
not
just curious as to
challenge
what's
their
so funny.
worldviews and simply reinforce their previously held beliefs. However, the way that we speak about the democratization of media is actually remarkably old. Concerns about echo
No, it's not that
chambers
he's
in some
smiling.
form
It's
or
like,
another
it,
have
like a
existed
smile
dating
is
back at
different from like a
least to the
grin. It's like he's
for
like
as much as
straight
we
up grinning, like he's about to
romanticize the
laugh.
good old days of Walter Cronkite and the three major news networks that were fairly indistinguishable from each other, the reality of the history.
See,
of
like the
journalism is far
reality.
more complex.
Like, it sounds
You'll
like he's
find
trying to
that
hold back from
sensationalism
laughing.
and misinformation far predate our current media landscape, especially around the time of the Spanish-American War. By imagining the past as a simpler time, we do them and ourselves the disservice of seeing those who came before us as somehow less complex than we are, when in reality they had just as many thoughts, feelings, aspirations, and shortcomings as any of us alive today. History is of course written by the victors, but I find it
Okay.
important to
Terrible. No, it's not. Don't listen to that. That's bullshit. However, he does make a really good point of like, you do have to remember that like people back then were just as intellectual as we are today. Were they as like well versed? not particularly, because like science has just progressed since then. So we know more about things per se. But in terms of like thinking capacity, they were the same as we are. So they had the same political struggles. They understood what was going on in their world and things like that. So yeah, it's very important to remember when you look at any point of history to remind yourself that these people are still people. They still think like you do. They're still smart. They still have the concept to learn and understand as much as you can. It's just that they were dealing with a different time technologically, not intellectually. I want to commission a Hara Fumo and send it to you. The mailbox still open for the foreseeable future. It is. Yeah, it is. Just open up a ticket, Reiji, and I'll give you the PO box.
Examine not only what happened in this country's history,
ticket in the
but
Discord.
debates surrounding the issues of the day. In the latter half of the 1800s, political cartoons were all the rage in magazines and newspapers as a fun and clever way.
Wait, history is written by the victors is false? It is extremely
America's
false.
War against Spain represented
History is written by
the
anyone that
dawn
can pick up a
of the
pen.
Empire. A fundamental reconception in what this country was, a true turning point in our history.
But yeah, we have tons of examples, like almost infinite examples of people that aren't the winners writing history.
From a modern perspective. This anti-imperialist illustration by Victor Gillum, published in 1895, presents a map of this continent in the shape of the patriotic Uncle Sam about to devour the small Cuban fish that just can't seem to get away. Maybe this is how he got so large in the other cartoon. Uncle Sam is, of course, one of the most iconic personifications of the United States, whose likeness became a staple of American cartoonists throughout the 1800s. While Columbia, another personification of this country, could serve as an angelic guide leading the pioneers across the continent, the lack of subtlety in Uncle Sam's appearance made him much easier to mock. The iconic symbol's lean frame, which had represented the scrappiness of the young nation, provided an opportunity for subversion for the eager cartoonist as conversations about US power became more prevalent. This cartoon, published in 1899, further reflects the era in which it was published through its use of the fat cat archetype. Not only is Uncle Sam drawn to be comically round, he is made to look like the caricatures of wealthy business cartoons throughout the Gilded Age, drawing an apparent parallel between the greed they exhibited over everyday Americans that would soon be reckoned with during the Progressive Era, with the greed that the United States had begun exhibiting in its foreign policy. However, this cartoon is actually in favor of American imperialism. It shows the United States as being strong and bountiful, with various other nations reaching out nervously to shake its hand and get on its good side. The excess and greed that we originally interpret in the image is instead intended to signify bountifulness and power. The evolution of the United States into a colonial power is just the next logical step in its progression.
And that's a very interesting way to also understand how people think, and that people are as intellectually as smart as you were back then, but because of their world, they thought differently. And I think he does a good point of showing that, to where showing the America as fat and bountiful and successful was a positive thing in the sense of being an expansionist and being extremely capitalist and like wealthy and powerful in the sense of like owning it all. You know what I mean? Like being the owner of the factory instead of being the worker of the factory. Which is something that would be a big negative today. But back then was seen as very, very important and very positive, because it was widely believed that even among the most progressive circles, that it was up to the US to expand itself outward and push its will onto other peoples, other nations. And that it was almost like, required of them, and that it's just another step in the birth of a nation, in the growth of a nation, to naturally want to expand and imperialize and conquer, whether that be through hard or soft power.
Through more drawings, you'll notice that food and weight continue to be a common theme. This illustration shows Uncle Sam eagerly choosing between a menu of US colonial pursuits, such as Cuba steak and Puerto Rico pig, while a sinister-looking McKinley serves as the waiter taking his order, looking a suspicious amount like Colin Farrell's penguin. Alas, the entire scheme was simply a ruse to
you learn about the Cannibal Island, yeah.
William McKinley's
I mean, it wasn't so much he had a cannibal island, it was more like we just kind of put a bunch of people on an island until they killed and ate each other because we refused to give them food or shelter or any supplies. Like, it wasn't on purpose. It was just like one of those things where it's like, oh, they're cannibalizing each other? Okay, I don't really care. Like, that kind of thing.
Where he drapes the iconic American with enlightened foreign policy and rational expansion as medicine men offer anti-expansionist policy as an elixir.
Is your cannibal island cage free? Are these free roam cannibals?
Of the United States
are these free range cannibals? I want to make sure they were treated correctly before I cannibalize
all the way
them.
back during the administration of George Washington, there was a great debate on whether or not we should support revolutionary France against the British, as they had done for us during our own revolution, or stay away from European entanglements altogether.
What is Cannibal Island? So, getting a little bit off topic, sorry, I'm gonna say it again because the video was playing, but can I get my cannibals, like, free range, please? Do you have any free range cannibals? I want to make sure that I'm consuming ethically. But Cannibal Island was essentially an island, I believe in Siberia, that was one of the gulags, essentially. And they ran out of space of where to put people, so they just put them on this island that was in the middle of two rivers. Pretty much a frozen island. No, that's good, Nori. But essentially a frozen island, and they took all these people and just dropped them on the island, and we're like, all right, see ya. And they just fucking sailed off. And slowly over time, the people realized that they'd have to eat and consume one another to survive. So that's what they started doing. And so the commissar, whoever, like, was on the ship, came back after, like, 3 or 4 months and was like, oh, fuck, you all ate each other. We expect you to die. We didn't expect you all to eat each other. So I don't remember if they saved some of them or if they just shot them. I'm pretty sure they saved them. But of the few people left, which was like, they dropped, like, I think they dropped a couple hundred of people off on that island, and they only picked up, like, fucking 40. That's how bad it was. They ended up, like, I think they picked them up and just moved them to a normal gulag, which is crazy if you think about it. And it wasn't like these were, like, hardened criminals. It was, like, a mix of, like, hardened criminals and, like, your aunt that just got picked up off the street one night kind of thing. So, yeah, it was pretty fucked. It was pretty fucked.
Ultimately chose neutrality. This illustration depicts Uncle Sam stretching his
Are there
legs
vegan
from
cannibals?
Alaska to the very edge of South America.
I'm sorry. Is this lab-grown human flesh? I don't believe in the unethical slaughter and harming of any creature. I'm a vegan cannibal. So I just wanted to make sure that this human flesh was grown in a lab. So yeah.
America, wielding a bat.
Is it ethically farmed? Is it grass? Was this human grass fed?
This refers to the framework established by
plant-based human flesh
to put forth the Americas as.
You see, if you use the right combination of seasonings and my special secret sauce, that only I know the recipe to, you too can make your soybean tofu taste like human flesh, almost exactly like it. So if you're a conscious consumer of human flesh, if you're a conscious cannibal, and would like to join the Alliance of Conscious Cannibals, the ACC, you can spend $25 a month, and we too will share our secret servings with you, so that you too can overcome your cravings of real human flesh, skip the suffering, and just have human flesh flavored tofu. So yeah.
A distinct sphere of influence separate from the Europeans, rejecting
to make a town on the island, and then it was fucked up over and over again, so then they went cannibal. I don't even know if they were told to make a town. I think they were just literally left there.
To establish relationships with independent Latin American nations. As American power grew, the Monroe Doctrine came to be used as justification for intervention. In the 3 years prior to the Spanish-American War, Cuban revolutionaries had been fighting for their freedom against their colonial overlords. Many in the United States wanted the government to intervene, both out of a desire to expand American power in the Western Hemisphere and a genuine concern with Spain's mistreatment of the Cuban people. Political cartoons played an extraordinary role in shaping the American public's perception of the situation. This cartoon,
ACC member here, I only eat animal flesh. Oh, what, do you think you're better than us?
Spanish misrule over the fires of...
What, you think you're better than us or something? Because you don't eat human flesh, you only eat animal flesh? What do you think, you're better than us? Huh? What do you mean you only eat meat that doesn't taste like human flesh? What do you think, you're better than me? It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. I'm gonna start putting like micro doses of mumia in your tea and your coffee now. I'm upset. You've upset all 12 members of the nationwide organization of the ACC.
You might be familiar with the term yellow journalism.
Get him, I'm trying.
19th century that signified exaggerated or sensational reporting. Well, there was a
Hara Plays RimWorld would be fun. I do need to try that one out.
On both sides of this issue. So much so that this image features McKinley diligently reading his war policy, while the shabbily dressed newspaper man Joseph Pulitzer pokes his long, lying nose into it while carrying his own yellow journal. This other Puck magazine cover shows McKinley as calmly above the fray as Pulitzer, and a monkey version of newspaper man William Randolph Hearst are stuck in the mud with one another. The United States would eventually...
Can I have my liver back? No.
...war on Spain following the explosion of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor. An explosion that bears very little evidence of having been the result of foul play by the Spanish.
Oh man, at least you tried.
During the
Don't
era
hurt to
of
ask.
Willie McKinley, there was still a strong isolation.
You could ask again in like 200 years, I might change my mind.
Opposed the president's foreign policy. On the other side of the coin,
no, you can't borrow it.
Titled "The White Man's Burden: Apologies to Rudyard
Okay, this one is the one where it's really bad.
More traditional Uncle Sam, accompanied by
now you can kind of see. Now you can kind of see the reality at that time of like what progressive racism looked like,
while overcoming barbarism, ignorance, and oppression without the slightest sense of irony. Each racist caricature also features labels designating them with any of either country's respective colonial holdings of the era, just in case you were confused. The title of the cartoon is of course in reference to the famous 1899 poem by Kipling, advocating for a paternalistic imperialism that places on the shoulders of the civilized white folks of the Western world the noble burden of educating the inferior races.
It's still crazy to me that people thought like that.
Roosevelt referred to as rather poor poetry, but good sense from the expansion point of view. This same grotesque, paternalistic line of thinking was also used to
How are we alive? Are you like SCP-049 and just turn us into zombies? Pretty much. I cast an incantation so that like the functions of your liver are replaced, but I get your liver.
The benefit that the labor of those individuals bring to those who had enslaved them is, of course, merely a byproduct of the enslaver fulfilling their good Christian duty. The Bible's declaration that man should bring the earth under his dominion was a driving justification for manifest destiny, for the expansion of our hold over this continent. But where else?
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't say it was a driving factor of manifest destiny. It was the entire cause and like excuse. I know I'm nitpicking over his words, but like it was the entire excuse for manifest destiny. Manifest destiny was the belief that like Americans were like God-given the right to take over what is modern day United States. And beyond that, it became beyond that after the United States was brought under heel under the US and under Americans. So like it's I wouldn't say it was like a factor. It was the entire whole reason that Manifest Destiny existed was because they believed entirely that God ordained them to have this land, you know?
Bring under his dominion after we're done conquering this continent from sea to shining Sea. Is it not also their duty, by that logic, to spread that knowledge to all other inferior peoples of the world? While we've certainly harped on good old Uncle Sam, the less jingoistic Lady Columbia is not without her unfavorable portrayals. This illustration, published in 1901,
I thought that said
features
fuck.
America getting ready in front of a mirror dressed in patriotic attire, complete with a battleship-shaped bonnet crowning her a world power while blowing the smoke of expansion. This cartoon illustrates just how significant of a step...
At the end of it all, theocracy rears its ugly head. I would argue that even then, like, religion is just an excuse.
The speed in which this scrappy young country would go from obtaining its status alongside the great powers of the old world to becoming the preeminent global superpower in the coming decades, the most powerful nation in the history of the world. To think of the drastic ways in which this country changed in the short 100 years between 1900 and 2000 is to truly understand the 20th century as the American century. While the United States today is...
That is a very interesting point that I'd like to touch on to as well. And I don't know, I think we'd have to look, I think as a historian, we'd have to look into that in a more unbiased way. But it does feel a little, I don't know, it feels like correct, but it also feels like it's too much to say that the 19th century was the American century. Because it feels like at least Western history is indeed defined by the rise and power of the United States. And it definitely has a lot of effect on the Eastern portion of the world as well. But I mean, to ignore like every other world event essentially during the 1900s and just say that like it's the American century because America grew into a world power is kind of crazy. Because like I wouldn't say that like the first and second century, for example, was the century of Rome. For example, I wouldn't say it's Roman century. There was a lot going on in the Mediterranean world. You had Carthage, you had Egypt, you had Palestine. Like, you had a bunch of other world powers that were extremely strong at the time. China. Nations in deep Africa. So, we need horror political cartoons. Those would be neat. I think they'd be neat. I've been thinking about for a while commissioning somebody to make like a cult pamphlet. That would be really fun. Like a mock cult pamphlet. Manifest Destiny was mostly about US claiming land so European nations couldn't. That's not true, Philip. Manifest Destiny was more about the United States, thinking that Native Americans and people that essentially weren't white were noble savages, as in a part of nature that needed to be tamed, by civilization, which is what white people could bring to them. So they believed that it was their God-given duty, their duty given by God to pull lesser nations into civilization. And that included colonialism. It started with Manifest Destiny. And essentially was believed that Native Americans were noble, like they were a beautiful part of nature to be protected. But at the same time, were a part of nature, kind of like how animals are. They weren't people. Like they were people, but they weren't actually people like we are. So we have to bring civilization to them and tame them like you would domesticating like an animal. And by domesticating them, we'll bring them up to our level, and then they will become people because they take part in civilization, which is really just how Western Europeans saw civilization. So that's how it was. That's how they thought. And once they conquered the United States and felt like they'd sufficiently, quote unquote, civilized Native Americans, they looked outward. And that's why the U.S. has the war in Cuba and takes Cuba. That is why the United States colonizes the Philippines and Maui and Hawaii and things like that. Well, I said Maui, but it's like more like the Marshall Islands. And Puerto Rico is because their whole belief was that, well, there's a bunch of natives here that need to be brought the bountiful, like, benefits of civilization. And we need to be the ones to do that. And the thing is that I've said it multiple times, please read the trilogy by Richard Slotkin that includes Gunfighter Nation. It talks about this extremely in depth. If this is a concept that interests you, he talks about it extremely in depth, starting from the birth of the United States as colonies up until the modern day. And he shows that the collapse in American identity after the 1950s and 60s and into the 70s and 80s, especially after the end of the Vietnam War, is because the Vietnam War shows and sobers Americans up to the reality that America does not have manifest destiny anymore. They don't have the ability to civilize any other peoples without at least explicit backlash or by failing or having to spend large amounts of cost to do it. And so once that became realized and became popular in the public sphere, there was nothing for American society to hold on to as an identity. And that is why there's so much negativity around American identity in the postmodern age, is because of that. Is because of that loss of identity. Because all the way from the colonial era to the 1980s, it was seen as we are colonizing the world and we are bringing it up to our standard. And that is like our God-given right, is to colonize and bring up other peoples. And now we can't do that anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. So that leaves, the idea of America a hollow shell. The identity of what it means to be American now has a bit of a hollow shell. There's nothing else really tied to it besides I was born in the United States and maybe I eat American food like hamburgers. You know what I mean? And because that was a huge part of the American cultural identity throughout its entire lifetime, just as he's talking about here in this video. But that ends in the modern era after Vietnam. It's the same thing with the Soviet Union, what happens with their war in Afghanistan. A lot of the nationalism is lost. Well, nationalism as you can for a communist amalgamation of states, an alliance or a confederation. But that's what happens with them as well. People in Russia realize, we can't do this anymore. We can't bring communism and civilize these other nations in the ways of communism like we could before it. We can't do it anymore. So that means our identities, our identity is gone as Soviet citizens. So we have to remake the nation. So yeah, it's very interesting. But I would highly recommend it if you like reading long books that will blow your fucking mind. Please go read those 3 books by Richard Slotkin. I don't know if they're on audiobook, but you can also do them by audiobook. That series, that trilogy might have been the most eye-opening geopolitical series of books I've ever read in both my undergrad and my master's. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I would highly recommend it. In my opinion, it is, if I had to give an opinion, it is some of the best academic historical text written in a while. It is up there. I thought communism ended because people got greedy. Not really. I can't even imagine Palestine before Muslim conquest. I mean, Palestine before Muslim conquest was just like... I mean, the thing is that Palestine was always under somebody. Quite literally. Can you please share us a link for that trilogy? Let me pull it up real quick. It's on Amazon. Yo, thank you for the follow, Lucy Hio. Welcome into the cult. How you doing? So here's the first one. I'll post the Amazon link. I believe, the first one is called Regeneration Through Violence. So here you go. This is the link to the first book in the series. The next one is, I believe the last one's Gunfighter Nation. ASMR keyboard, I know, right? But yeah, that's the first book in the series. And it is extremely interesting. I would highly recommend it. So, hey Andy, how you doing? Are you a musician? No, I'm not a musician. I'm a historian. So yeah. If that interests you at all, please check it out. Yo, thank you for the follow, Japhet. I think I said that right. Welcome to the cult. How you doing today? I need to really move that up. Give me a moment. It's still stuck behind my noggin. There we go. Dang it, no minors allowed? Yeah, bye. Leave! We talk about adult things like taxes and butt stuff. What a first time chat, actually, though.
Time of McKinley, the outright imperialism of the dawn of the 20th century.
What super carry is that? No clue.
In a way that feels alien to our modern sensibilities. Critics of the Iraq War can cite arguments about American adventurism, nation building, and the spread of democracy. But the idea that we would conquer foreign terrain and bring it under our dominion was completely out of the question. The United States has a great history of territorial expansion, one that is painted both by triumph and by tragedy.
Then I would rather not be American or white. I would say that that's changed a lot in the last like 40, 50 years, but that is what it used to mean back in like the 19th century. I got you, collector. See ya. Who are you? Who are you? I'm not gonna lie, Andy. It seems like you've been off your meds, my guy. I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about a bunch of random stuff in the chat, my guy.
I don't know if we're shifting the Overton window back to one of American expansionism, but just the thought of that, the bluntness with which he approaches a situation is unlike anything we've seen in this country in the last few decades of the liberal world order. And how it ends, none of us can know yet for sure. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. There's some really amazing political cartoons from that era that I wasn't able to include in this video because of time, so if you would like to see me cover any more of those, please feel free to leave a like, leave a comment down below, and maybe I could do a sort of part 2 if that's...
Okay, so there you go, guys. I hope you guys liked the videos today. I thought they were both very interesting. So yeah. I think that they were good picks, but there's a lot of conversation to be had. I'm glad. I almost say glappy we had it. I'm glad we had it. Hey, Artie. So we're gonna go ahead and probably raid out. You actually learned something. Let's go. That's my goal for today. That's the whole goal of the history streams, is to teach you guys stuff. So hopefully we get some guests on here soon. I want to get some more guests. I'm gonna see if I can get some like mythology VTubers on here. And I can teach them, or they can teach us about their favorite parts of their mythology. So thank you for the follow, Jazoon. Welcome into the cult. How you doing? But we're gonna go ahead and raid out on Twitch. Let me find somebody to raid out to. It's 10 o'clock. It's my bedtime. I got work tomorrow. So if you liked what you saw, if this is your first stream and you want to come back and hang out, we will be back on Friday at 7 p.m. CST. We'll be doing Fallout New Vegas. If you donate $10 to the chat, I have to kill the next human NPC I see. It's already caused us to commit 3 actual genocides, 3 whole war crimes. So it's totally worth it. It's chaotic as shit, and it's a lot of fun. Let's see who we are gonna raid. Who do I want to raid? Let me see. Who looks interesting? We're gonna raid Miss Lala VT. I've never actually raided her before, but I love her design. She's got like a 50s diner kind of vibe to her. She's really cool, and I would highly suggest her. I've seen her on Twitter. I need to follow her on Twitch. Ow. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great time with her. She's playing The Bathhouse, which I have no clue what it is, but it looks interesting. And I will see you guys on Friday at 8 p.m. CST. If you guys want to catch me before then, I am in the Discord. I'm also on Twitter and Blue Sky, and I'm very receptive on Discord. So if you want to hit me up and talk more about history, especially with other chatters, please do. I would love to see more history conversation in there, and I'd love to see more people show up for my history streams. They're easily my favorite, and like I said, I think I'm the funniest on these nights, or the New Vegas nights. So I will see you guys on Friday. Love you a ton. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye. Bye, friends. Later, YouTube. Thanks for hanging out, guys.